wants it.
Oh.
Kiffy's not able. It's a pentakill.
Second, they'll find a second. Chippy is on an absolute tear right now.
Welcome back, everybody. Me and Max, of course, enjoyed a wonderful slice of watermelon in the break. We didn't. I don't know why I said that, but I would have liked to. Now we got game number 2 on the ropes, and this one is looking like a good one. Team Bliss playing up against PGG.
Match of the week.
Match of the week! Oh my
It is
god!
a match of the week.
It's only Monday too. Take a look at Bliss, of course. We just talked about their bot lane. Lemus and Arkia, a singular brain cell that they share, and it is a fantastic one at that. And then Daystar, I gotta say, this man has been dominating the mid lane.
Yeah, he's certainly a standout performer for, not only best mid laner, but perhaps MVP of the entire league at this stage. I think that the way he works with Why Not just enables them both to become these explosive threats who are creatively pathing, getting towards that bot lane, like you mentioned, and really unlocking Lemus and Arkia. Meanwhile, Lived is up there, the quiet achiever. The rock in the top lane, you always know what you're going to get from him. But overall, Bliss, true to form, looking like a top contender so far.
To your point about Liv, though, he busted out something a little bit creative, right? Went back to the likes of a Fiora that we've just not seen in a million moons from him, right? Something that really for many years. So thought it was really exciting to see that, just another layer added to the team where it wasn't just the case of why not going to play a carry jungler, do something creative, and look to try and allow Daystar to be the 1v9 show. It's like, yes, we can play macro, which I think is something that Osa's generally struggled with.
Yeah, I mean, we have. I won't deny that, we certainly have. I was going to say, look, Bliss have been a team that have looked absolutely dominant so far, and I think Strictly have upgraded in a lot of good ways. Of course, while sad to see Ben go, Arkia has provided this extra dimension to the squad, which does provide those extra layers, right?
Yeah.
Which helps a lot with your setup, with your execution, with your strategy, and that's something that Bliss have all kind of come around very nicely with. Especially in matches like this, right, up against the absolute big dogs in their opponents. Bliss need to be at 100% when they kick it off. Arkia helps make that happen.
And a team I'd really like to see take it 100% this game is the other team that we'll be seeing today, which is PGG, still sitting 0-4-0, completely at draws this entire split so far.
Yeah, it'd just be crazy to me if they were just to continue to just drawing their way all the way into the playoffs. I mean, they're a team that have just performed. Their highs are phenomenal. Their lows have been a bit like, how's that happening? You're a little bit still left scratching your head. Obviously, you've got a star-studded roster here with many having been to internationals in their history already. So it's always leaving you a little bit confused as to why they find themselves in this current state. But ultimately, we had an Azir performance, which gave them a pentakill. They seem to be racking up the pentakills on a weekly basis at this case here. So just a really, really strong team. And we're hoping that they can actually find either the recipe for success to get a full series win.
And just remember that while they've been getting these 1v1s, it's against good teams. They went 1-1 against Direwolves, they then went 1-1 against the Chiefs. So, like, we can look at this squad and say, why haven't they found a win? What's going on? Absolutely, that should be brought into question if they're going 1-1 against teams like Ground Zero. But they're also beating the best teams in our league at the same time. So this consistency is a serious issue that I think they need to contend with. But like you're seeing, right? Massive performances, exactly. Pentas against the Chiefs.
And that raises the question again, what is it that is causing PGG time and time and time again to continuously not get a win? We saw at the start of the split against Mammoth when we went, whoa! When Mammoth kind of felt like the team that became the dark horse after they took down PGG. So what is it that's holding them back?
Themselves, plain and simple. And I think that they've mentioned this in interviews. Schoenfire gave us a look into his spiritual mindset, where it's basically like the only obstacle to really overcome is yourself. And truly with PGG, I think that is the case. You look at them mechanically on paper, all these players are certainly capable of winning. They've shown it before. I think besides Dongy, everyone has won a title at least once on that organization. So to me, it really is about the way that they sync up, and they've taken down the Chiefs, the only team to be able to do so all split. So the ability is there. Like you said, it's a consistent execution that's the problem.
And our teams matching up against each other now, Bliss and Pentanet head-to-head. This is a lot of numbers, Skimmy.
Yeah, so what I wanted to try and demonstrate with this is the fact that, yes, whilst it does still feel like Chiefs are the overall favourites because they have basically the first in every single category, Bliss are hot on their heels, basically taking second in every other category. But despite the fact that Pentanet are having all these draws and find themselves in the lower end of the standings, they are, in most cases, actually third overall. So it once again kind of really compounds the idea that they are so much stronger than where their standings are at the moment. You're seeing them right up there with some of the best in this league, so their highs are really good. It's just the lows which are always left scratching our heads on because, their early game has been phenomenal, but they sometimes in the mid to late game, somebody's slightly disconnected, somebody tries to go a little bit too montage crazy perhaps. and a fight goes awry, they lose the game. Ultimately, they had to sort of default back to a playstyle, which has generally been Schoenfire needs to pop off. If he pops off, we generally win the game. So there was definitely a lot of critique, and I'd say like the weeks 1 to 3, maybe even 4, of like they've got this very rigid playstyle. Dongy and Schoenfire have to dive bot, 4-man collapse, Violet gets fed, there's your insurance policy, they win the game. But that basically is just to summarize that they don't deserve to be really in the spot they're in, and they should be really aiming for that top 4.
I feel like if I had a spotlight, that I was a light operator, and I was shining it on Bliss, it would always gravitate towards Daystar. That guy just sucks up the spotlight. This guy, best mid laner in the league, question mark.
There's still a question mark there because Kisei's in the league, so I'm not outright willing to say that he's the best mid laner in the league. But those stats really don't lie. The fact that you have those statistics first in everything, as well as the fact that he's played a different champion every single game. Fun fact, in
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, in solo queue, he actually did the challenge to get to Challenger where he played only one of every single game. So this is a guy who is mechanically proficient on basically anything in the game. But I think that in terms of empowering a mid laner, having a bot lane and a support as good as Akia to be able to get towards that mid lane, and why not knows that if he's got to go anywhere, it's got to be mid. So this guy certainly capable of carrying basically any game.
Well, perhaps his teammate can give us some insight. Of course, one of probably my favorite players personally. Met him in the real life. An absolute sweetheart. We got Lived on the line. G'day, mate.
How's it going? Nice to meet you again.
Hey, it's good to see you again. I know when I was refereeing, they actually didn't let me stand behind you because we were being too friendly.
I know. Very unfortunate.
Tough luck. But either way, you've got a big matchup today up against Chippies, who a lot of people regard as could be one of the best top laners in the league. How are you feeling about this matchup?
I would kind of disagree with that statement, but I think he used to be a bit better. I think he's definitely not as good as he once was, so I'm not as nervous as I probably would have used to have been, but I think I'm pretty confident tonight.
I love this, man. I mean, you've shown you're confident before as well, picking stuff like the Fiora. I wanted to get your take more holistically on drafts. Obviously, we've seen this patch a bit of disparity between teams picking blue and red side. Without getting into specifics, what do you think are the main reasons teams are deciding between these two?
I think it's just whatever you're more comfortable on, really. Like, if you need the counters, if you think something is so strong, you need blue side, you just first pick it. I think it entirely depends on the way you want to play the game and what your team needs to accomplish that.
The other thing I wanted to ask as well is, when I was helping you set up your desk and all that back at DreamHack, dude, you had a Berserk mousepad. Is that still the mousepad you're using?
I did.
Can
It
you show
is
us?
still the mousepad. Okay. Let me get it up.
Oh, okay,
It
here
might
we go.
even ruin his setup for
It's
us.
a fat one. It's a fat one.
It is. It's a really big mousepad,
Oh,
and
really?
it's so cool. If anyone is an anime fan
It
out there,
is.
of course, Berserk. My personal favorite. Liv, do you watch much anime, or is this like?
I am an anime enjoyer.
Oh, how cool is
Very
that?
nice. Very nice. It's my
Okay,
favorite.
I'm sorry
Very
for making
cool.
you ruin your setup, but it's just a very cool mousepad. Wait, do you watch any
No
other
worries,
anime?
no
What's
worries.
your favorite besides Berserk?
I don't know. Attack on Titan is very high. It is. I don't know. There's just the story writing and the plot twists. Very, very good. What else? I don't know. There's a lot. There's a lot that I watch. Evangelion is also very good.
Okay, maybe you and me. We gotta
Akira.
watch Attack on Titan together sometime then. All right?
Hey, you not watched it?
I have. The new episode's coming out. Either way, okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're gonna leave it here,
okay.
but
Yeah.
check the DMs, man.
Yeah. I'll be waiting.
Okay, thank you, Liv. Good luck with the game.
Awesome. Thanks. See you later.
You guys.
That's my guy, bro. AOT's the only anime I've ever watched, and I loved it. And I love that he picks up on it. I like him more after every single interview.
It's hard not to. It's
Yeah,
hard not to.
He's infectious.
Are you guys big anime fans?
I wouldn't say a big anime fan. I've definitely watched, your Bleaches, your Naruto, all the rest of them, all the generic ones, right? But I've never really dived much deeper than that.
IQ.
Yeah,
Volleyball obsessed
Woo!
human. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. I remember in a previous interview actually mentioned that the entire team of Bliss, I think it was last split from memory, it was just we'd all sit around, we'll just watch anime together, bond as a team, just hang out, which I think is really cool because maybe for some teams, it might just be a case of scrim, solo queue, and then do your own thing, right? So it's cool to see them bond.
I'm actually kind of curious about this as well, as teams bonding. We just talked about working out outside, keeping your mental health healthy for your gameplay. Do you think watching anime with your team or going gym with them is something that changes your performance?
I absolutely think so, and I think that if you're having inconsistency issues or you're fighting within the team, being able to see your teammates outside of an environment where you're constantly judging each other based on your performance and how they're winning or losing games can really be a good reset to just recognize that your mates on a human level, and that can contribute to better outcomes in game.
Aki and Lemus, they must be holding hands or something.
24/7.
It's 24/7,
Yep.
just hanging out. Either way, we've got another bot lane to take an interview with here. Violet, what's up, man?
Hello. Doing well. How are you?
Yeah, good. I mean, I don't know if you saw earlier, but we're having a bit of a discussion about the best bot lane in the league. I mean, you probably say it yourself, but who do you think, besides you, is the best bot lane duo or the hardest one to face in the league?
I don't know, honestly. I think after scrimming so much PCS and BCS teams, they all feel pretty much the same to me, I'd say. I don't think there's like one particular bot lane that's like, oh my god, it's so hard to play against. I think they're all pretty similar to me.
So saying you have scrimmed against a bunch of PCS and VCS, what do you think is the main thing that separates their bot lanes from the ones we have here?
They just have a much stronger understanding of the lane phase and out of lane. Like there's a lot of specific details about the lane that a lot of, like, not even just us, but I think a lot of Western teams don't take into account of, and most of the time the Asian regions are just much more detailed when it comes to like playing out the lane and having like a solid game plan and knowing how to execute on it.
Do you feel like that's changing at all with the addition of supports like Yosan and Arkia somewhat?
Nah, I don't really have high opinions on Yosan. I think if you were to play in PCS, you probably wouldn't be very good from my experience playing against him.
Okay.
Wow, tough stuff.
Okay.
Okay, well, I want to ask you something more on the cheerful side. We were having a big argument about our favorite fruit earlier on the couch. What's your favorite fruit? If you're making your tier list, what's S tier? What are you putting up there?
My favorite fruit?
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably just choose a banana, I guess.
That's pretty straightforward.
That's pretty basic. Do you have any like out there ones? Like we were saying watermelon, and we had a lemon. Rusty said a lemon.
And then a kiwi fruit for Skimmy.
Do you have any like weird ones that you like?
Is the durian counts as a fruit, right?
Oh, it does.
I
Okay.
like eating durian. Durian is pretty good. Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
good one.
Hey, good call. All right, maybe you can celebrate if you win with your durian. Have good luck with the game, mate.
Thank you.
See you on the other side.
Thank you.
Well, that's awkward. I just called Yosan and Cheon the best bot lane in the league, and he goes, "Nah, they're pretty trash, man. Like, they want to be good in PCS."
I think what's interesting as well, though, is like he's talking about the specific players. He wasn't talking about the 2v2. So like we haven't brought into question how good Violet and Appy are, right? Like we didn't actually stack rank them.
That's right.
He also didn't stack rank them. So all he really said is, I've scrimmed these other regions. They're pretty good, but like they're all the same to me. But he never even compared himself to them, right? So we got nothing from that in terms of the stack ranking.
All we know is PCS is good, but PGG is the team we know to look out for a surprise on the side select. It's red side
There we go.
once again.
And we're going to see a 5th pick sign coming up from Chippies. And because it's 5th pick, it will be a carry. And quite honestly, I think it was. I think like that was one of the best games from Chippies all split. I mean,
True.
so instrumental in terms of his ability to charge into battle, to knock up multiple members, and just to make it look so much easier for the rest of his team to flourish.
And I think this is one of the things as well, like even though we clown on a 5th pick Sion a lot, just having the confidence in saying that, okay, I've assessed the entire draft and this is the best pick, I know that 100%, you're going to play differently. And I think Chippies is a player who, okay, short-lived said he's not as good as carrying before, but that can translate to other areas, right? Like his tank play that he's certainly leveled up on since the OPL days.
Which also Chippies is a carry player.
Yeah.
So like the fact that like they as a team looked at Chippies and said, this is a 5th pick Scion, and he has to say, okay, to me is so funny. Like, he has to accept that reality as someone that's like, God, this is the best Jace angle, or, you know, like, give me this split pushing, I want Quinn here, nah, Scion.
Well, if you're getting vibes of maybe seeing Chippy on a carry or something even crazier, time for the dev fan vote.
What are you doing? We didn't plan this.
It's over there. They're touching mics.
We didn't plan this, guys.
Where is
and we are just a passenger to
Hey,
madness.
predictions.
We broke up.
We've got 2 zeros.
Ah, Max.
We broke up. This is the saddest departure of my life.
Wait, Max, you're on 15, right?
Yeah, we're tied on 15.
Tied with Skimmy.
Yeah.
This is the decider.
This is
So
the one.
one of you, if I'm right, I catch up to you. But if you're right, you're gone. You're gone.
Sole first place.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a big one for predictions.
I'm going for a 100% perfect rating. I've gone well so far. All right. Hopefully I can walk away, and the only way to see if I get to do that, Champ Select.
That's very true. Quicksand, let's load into our second series of the night. It is the match of the week between Team Bliss and PGG. A chance for them to try and showcase, okay, we can get the perfect 2-0, but they've been taking games of every single team so far. And if they're on one, they can take it from anyone.
Look, they certainly have the capabilities to win against any team in the league. Bliss is no slouch, however, their average skill, their average performance is incredibly high. We will kick this draft off, though, with another Ivern ban. So I'm wondering if it has actually started to plague the league in scrims, right? We only know the 4 teams that we've seen today. We could say Mammoth and Pensinet play Ivern. That's from these bans, that's what we can infer.
Yep.
But it's possible that every team is playing it, and that's where tomorrow will come into the equation. But for the here and now, no Ivan, no Vi, no Zaya. Pensinet still get it. The most picked champion in our league.
That's right. They're going to open up their account here, Bliss, with the Why Not Special. This will be 3 games in a row now of the Maokai. Last played into the series against Vertex, if you remember, where the sapling was in the bush and Rosie phase checks and falls on down. Yeah. Good times, certainly, for Vertex, but very much more for the side of Bliss. PGG, though, straight responses at Philios and Rel. We saw how strong it was in the previous series. You're going to expect to see the same again.
And that Gragas, look, I said this for the last series. I said I wanted to see more of this. That Gragas support immediately picked because of Rel's there. That's why I'm saying support. It just makes the most sense.
Done it before.
Yeah, they've done it before. They'll do it again. Other teams should be considering this. It is the OG and known counter to the old Rel meta. So that's why I think we expect that Arkia is going to be playing this Gragas. We have a Maokai that's usually banned that's locked in, and a Jace that when Daystar gets his hands on this pick goes insane on average. But Pensinet have a really nice draft.
They really do. You know, to touch on the Jace briefly, we've not seen it flexed anywhere else. It really has been a mid lane exclusive. This would break up that perfect set of 8 champions in 8 games, but I'm sure they don't really care about that stat. The Viego, though, I mean, we look at the last performance that Shern had on this one, insane. I mean, the stopwatch was phenomenal to guarantee that they could get out of some very dicey situations. The Azir ban has to go towards Dongi after that pop-off performance. He did show us in their second game against the Chiefs, that cheeky game of Static Shift TF, which is a little bit of a surprise, basically. But I'm curious to see now where we go through with this next set of bans with even more AD carries being removed.
Is Varus going to be taken away? It was that Twisted Fate into the Akali, which, you know, has some merit with the ult interaction there and the ult usage to reveal her if she's ever in the Twilight Shroud. So I don't think it's something that we're immediately expecting. And not with the draft that we have right now either. You are looking for some really heavy magic damage in the Pensinet.gg composition. This is still one of those games, though, where you're looking at things like a Gwen top lane as a possibility for a red side 5th pick, which is, I'm sure, something that Pensinet may put their eyes towards, as that's usually banned away. Well, this is a working version of it.
Yes.
And this could be mid.
No, it certainly could be. We have seen Dongi play this before. It's been such a long time since he did, but I remember him playing it into a lot of the melee matchups like the Cassante for such a long time. Really excited to see it come back out and you know, showcase its skills again. It should be a really fun mid lane to keep our eyes on.
And I'm wondering if it is just going to be mid Jace versus Rumble. It's kind of like this top lane matchup of last year is now just mid laners fighting it out, but with carries instead of the tanks. As Azeri gets locked in here for Bliss, now still the floor is open for any kind of real enchanter if they wanted, right? And they wanted to flex that Gragas. Alternatively, they keep the Gragas down there for the Rel matchup, isolate the AD carries in that 1-for-1, or 1v1 rather, lane where Gragas just diffuses and nullifies, and you pick yourself up that carry for top lane. And that's where they're going to go.
Locked in at the blind. Jackson said, game on, Chippies. What does your 5th pick say for this time? Are you going to go for another source of engage? If you blind a tank like a Scion, you could be in trouble here. Would you try and take me with the Gwen and fight fire with fire? Currently hovering in the Ornn is going to lock it in.
It's the Pensinet 5th pick tank angle. Nothing changes. Some things never change. That does put the Rumble mid. That does put the Ornn top lane.
That's right.
That does mean that Pensinet have a really nice composition for initial damage output, right? Between a Rumble and a Philios and a Rel going in. Ornhorn, of course, can kick it off as well. Try and get Viego those resets. I think more than anything else, their comp is really relying on those Viego resets.
And it's hugely important on the ultimate success as well, I would say, right? Making sure that you get the most amount of uptime between the Call of the Forge Gold and the Magnet Storm to guarantee the ease of your carries then. You know, having the damage to really stick to find those resets, as you say. Bliss, though, going to get themselves the Zeri once again. Get to really see if it is going to be anything spicy on this brand new patch.
Jimmy, I don't want to say anything in particular here, but I played 1 ARAM with Violet yesterday. I played Viego and got a pentakill.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to say I'm the reason
You're pretty good.
that they picked Viego here, but like, you know, you do the math.
Yeah.
I've only seen one Viego in the past 24 hours with a Pentanet player, mate.
If Frosty could do it, we can play it.
That's exactly. If even he can do that, as if we can't do that. Bliss is comp on the other side as well, though, right? The Gragas going into the support role. Very good nullifying pick. Zeri just a free scaling option here. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of crowd control that outright locks you down. Ornn can be dodged. Rel can be dodged. Aphilos does have the purple weapon. The Viego stun is predictable enough that you can actually, you know, use mobility and get out of that one. And the Rumble is slows and a red carpet that you can dash through. So there's not a lot of lockdown for the Zeri. And the #1 way to deal with Zeri in compositions is things like the Vi or the Nautilus that guarantee you being locked in place. So this to me is a draft and an angle where I am looking at Lemus and saying this is a 1v9 Zeri.
100%. And the reason I draw attention to it is because it is this first time of us seeing the rework Zeri on 13-12. A lot of the time we're starting to see, okay, is it AP Zeri now? Is that the new go-to build?
True.
We know Static Shiv is certainly there as a first item rush to really help with it because Sheen is no longer that luxurious item that you can proc off anymore, right? So maybe we are going an all-out critical strike build, or potentially what we saw running around a lot on social media was just, yeah, the lightning crash one shot and suddenly you're finding pentakills for free, which would be ironic into your opposition and Pentanet that have been getting them on repeat on the weekly. So
yeah, they also have a Jace mid, right? So it's
it.
not like they're lacking for physical damage. And we are definitely onto the rift for this one. We'll see where they choose to go. Static Shiv at the very least would be exciting, Skimmy. And we'll see how any team with Why Not, to be fair, knows the future meta before it's even existed. That man does research on Gs.
well, let's let ourselves into the rift then for good this time, and let's set ourselves up for success here in this series because this is a big one. Bliss right now outright second, 3 wins and 1 loss, as you can see right there on your screen. As for Pentanet, currently sat in 5th position, tied there with Vertex, looking to try and get anything other than the draw. They would love a win here today to slowly ramp up their performance leading into playoffs.
Early into the game here, it looks like a 5-point start for both of these teams. Both mid laners just recalling to show off their really cool animations. And Bliss now looking to be the first ones that make a play. Saplings in the bush, pretty free to do, but they'll find Schernfire. It could just be a ward at the Raptors. Could be a ward at the red buff, as you see, but Chippies is coming down to collapse. We're looking at a 3v3.
Out goes the Flamethrower, looking to lock down Daystar for a little bit. Chippy zoning Daystar back as well. Schernfire and Liv having a bit of a crack at things as Why Not is there, getting headbutt against the wall, knocked up in trouble right now. Might fall victim to first blood, but the Bramble Smash is there. The level up is good. He survives, he flashes, he denies, he blast cones away. And it's 1 kill, and it could certainly be more. Chippy's in trouble, surrounded by 3. Baited as he limps towards top lane and just barely survives.
I'll tell you what, I think Lived is devastated. He doesn't have lethal tempo. The fact that he has Grasp the Undying for his lane matchup, free lane, doesn't have the lethal tempo. That could have been an extra kill. That could have been 3.
Yeah.
But it's the tail of the tape says it is just going to be that 1-for-0 trade. And really watching that one back, it is the fact that Why Not gets the entire Raptor camp uncontested, levels up to 2 mid-skirmish, and then survives for that to happen. To me, is just unbelievable. Pentanet suffer.
Purchases just so much time and space. I mean, it just starts with so much authority to still walk in here and not be deterred.
Like, look at Why Not. Just hitting the camp. Lived is just zoning Schernfire. Daystar is just zoning Dongy. Chippies comes in a little bit late, but he was walking from top lane. All of the camp goes to him. Schernfire doesn't queue the Raptors, he queues Why Not.
Yep.
He dies for it because Why Not levels up, gets a point in the Twisted Advance. W's out, he's untargetable, and suddenly he's alive. And in terms of execution here, that's something that I'm sure they'll be kicking themselves about. The result is so negative for them.
Not the best start here for Pentanet, but as for Bliss, we know they're a team that love to excel in the early game, and once again proving that these level 1 strategies are starting to come on through. Now that's twice we've seen it here today. More and more teams looking to try and get a little bit more explosive at the start of their series.
Observers zoom in real quick and say, yes, that is in fact Akia that was mid lane at level 2. He is still invading, he's at the blue buff, he's coming over for the fight. Knows that Dongy's here, but it's a 3-man strong Bliss unit.
He's not too far behind right now, battling his way from the bottom side of that river. Going to be zoned back and potentially actually switched upon. As Arky looks to try and zone him away, but a big rustle in the river right now.
Ooh.
Flashes, Appy jumps in, take Why Not down, surely this time. And they will kill confirm. Schernfire limping to try and get the reset for a little bit of HP back, but gets denied by Lemus. Finds a second, and Nazeri with a call burns double summoners to get a double kill.
It's an ARAM. What's going on? We're just fighting because it was now Akia's turn to have another bit of a skirmish here. Why not, huh? Lemus is nearby.
Why not?
We're actually just fighting on site. What an insane start to this series.
Both teams still have just woken up and decided to choose violence here. They don't want to play a passive game. They don't want to wait till that first objective spawns. They want to assert their authority in the laning phase. They're not going to slow down anytime soon. As Schönfei's now here. Nappy looking once again. Purple weapon will lock in place Lemus. Aki going to try and zone him away. Does he have body slam? It's on CD, so he has to sacrifice Lemus. And that's a shutdown at only 5 minutes.
And at some point, this game becomes so chaotic and unexpected that laners don't know how to prepare for a jungler being nearby. You have no sense of timing, you have no sense of pathing or positioning, and it becomes so crazy that you're really not sure what to do next. We look at this skirmish one more time. Daystar goes into hammer form, puts some damage down, which means he has enough mana from those auto attacks to get some damage out here with his range form. Arkia comes through, they'll find Appy, and he will use the body slam to close the distance, which means that Appy can hit the Q flash, lock down the stun, follow through with the combo, but at the same time, Schönfire is going to get locked down, and Ignites essentially secure the kill. And then the flash forwards from Lemus has a red buff now as well, cleanses the slow. Wishes he had that bottom for sure.
For sure.
But had the double kill, and the fights continue.
Made the decision, squared up against the moment, and realized I can get a double here, but then does pay the price in the laning phase as he returns back to bot lane. Look at that dare fan vote. 70% of you believing that Bliss are the overwhelming favorites here. Well, with as many kills as there have been minutes, I feel like we're strapping ourselves in for a good series.
We certainly are. Of course, I do still feel like overall the benefactors have been Team Bliss. But with that said, the fact that they were able to get a kill bottom, the kill went onto Violet, really sets Pensinet up in a positive way, right? That is now a 10 CS, 20 CS advantage until this wave gets caught. And the kill going into Violet's pockets, that is the superstar, that is the Ultraviolet, that's the man that needs that gold, and he has been gifted it on a silver platter. Let's not the Pensinet out of this game by any means.
To say the least, as Dongy goes in for a fair trade, but gets knocked back to try and deter it any further. So you need to keep your eyes on this bot lane as well as Schönfire, as they do have the highest kill participation in the entire league, looking at 87%. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Anytime action happens, it does stem around these three. That's why you see them in the action so far.
The roaming rumble always going to be a factor when you harken back to the old Pensinet play style as well. Push mid, go to a side lane. Daystar, the most prolific member of this team for Bliss, in keeping the rumble busy, keeping him at bay. He's going to have to be able to control that wave. Right now, speaking of waves, the stage is set for Pensinet to control Bliss in this 2v2.
Finding their time right now as they look to lock this lane and make it a little bit more difficult for both Lemus and Arkia to really play around. They're going to try and find his advantages. Is a Jax into the Ornn, and you can see him just pushing Chippy so far back. Completely zoning away from the wave.
We didn't mention this in the draft, but you know, the fact that they're able to pick the Jax late, already having the Gragas for themselves, obviously alleviates a lot of pressure up there. For Lived and his matchups, but also the fact that Ornn's going to be 5th pick into that one means that they were never really putting any attention to the Ornn lane. They said, Chippy, you just hang on in there, bud. Like, you just continue to farm as best you can. Fall down 20 CS, that's life for you. You're still an Ornn, and you're going to empower the team as long as you continue to get that experience. But like you're highlighting, that does mean that Lived is going to be quite a large carry with this Jax.
Especially given he got first blood, you are concerned that the Jax could get out of hand. Sure, you can say, Chippy, sacrifice as much as you can. The rest of your team will look to carry. You still need to address the fact that this Jax could explode at any given moment. Still really excited about this mid lane matchup. And now that we have ultimates across the board, we talked about how influential it could be for PGG to lay them down beautifully together. And with a Herald there, might get an opportunity to see in action.
Stuns on in top.
It certainly is. Call of the Forge goal goes out. R2 connects. Dodge. Counter-strike isn't good enough. It's going to deny
Oh.
it. Lived is alive. Sidesteps the flamethrower. It doesn't die to the red carpet. And eventually falls down to a rel of all people.
Dongy.
In goes Dongy, straight in melee range, burning him alive on the Barbie. And says that Herald will not be started. We are skirmishing and scrapping around anything. What a way to open up their account here.
Yeah, really well done by Bliss at the forefront of that skirmish, but the follow-up from Pensonet just a little bit too strong. And they'll get themselves the equalizing kills. The question is, what will happen with this Rift Herald? The Schernfire already back and alive means that he can just get here, get over the wall, get into the pit, find that it's already being done. Appy will stay now. The fight's not over.
Worth noting, Viego has no ultimate. Going to be easy said than done to contest this one. And that's been twice now, Rusty. He's been denied that crucial reset. Agonizingly close on both occasions. And I mean, the score of 0-3-3 doesn't really reflect how close he's been. It's a demoralizing result, but it all starts off here in top lane.
And just look at how well teams. So first of all, Chippies uses both of his abilities to gap close there. So doesn't have it for this combo. He'll use the ult. They'll hit the stun combos, but because he doesn't have a Q, a W or an E to throw out, they're not going to have lethal. Suddenly the reinforcements are here. Arkia flashing forwards, but the red carpet comes down and they just cook Daystar alive on that one. He gets taken out here. Very nicely done by Dongy. Also very well engaged by Appy, who is a very good rel player. That is known throughout the LCO. Just a little bit early there from Chippies to kick it off.
Either way, still an exciting game. Moments only really into this one. And it's hard to call which way this could go. As both teams are fighting tooth and nail for every square inch of the map that is offered. Quite rightly, as you mentioned, Appy was one of the first rels when he actually was new to the position. You're thinking, that's a little bit ballsy. Roll stopped and just already showcasing your skills on a champion like that. Back in the meta and completely flourishing, as you can see right now.
We love it way more than when he was just dropping those Nami games, I'll tell you that much. We love when someone switches roles and is just immediately flourishing on a tank like Rel. Team's grouping around mid lane right now with Drake as the primary objective, the primary port of call. Tough to find purchase so far, right? Tough to do it when a Maokai can just find vision every single time that you're there. Jace can just throw those gate shock blasts in as well, but they're fighting mid.
Yep, they've punished Schönfire. He's missed his engage, and that means it's easy pickings then for one to Twisted advance in and make it a 1v1 between both these mid laners to battle it out. Dongy just cooking him from afar. Zoning back Daystar to really rely on those accelerated shock blasts now to try and even things out. Be checking with top lane again. You're still seeing, okay, Jax is ahead by 25 CS. Make sure that can not continue to flourish this easily.
I will say right now, game state. Teleport actually coming in bottom, hold that thought.
Explosive cast goes out to start things off. Liv with a Counter-Strike primed and ready to go. Turns his attention on towards Appy, who just basically locks in place the other two.
Just a recall out of this Jax. A flash was used from Aphelios. The Gragas ultimate was used, however, and the teleport now ultimately gets wasted while the Ornn gets to push in top and get a free reset off. Could have potentially been a demolished proc, could have potentially been a plate up there, but it seems like Chippies is going to prioritize his reset, which I find funny given that Ornn can buy those items anyway. But nevertheless, that is a lot of space afforded to the side of Pensonet though, GG. That is just strictly a teleport advantage now as both mid laners use theirs also. It is just top lane, it is just Chippies that has the teleport. Suddenly Drake becomes a more realistic opportunity, becomes a more realistic avenue for them to look towards and potentially force.
Well, a few of those item spikes are coming online. Divine Sundra was the purchase when Liv's engaged with that TP. Failed to find anything, he's gone back to lane. Even stronger now if he fights into the components really of that Ornn. Kraken's Slay going to be matched by the static shift we expected to see out here from this new Zeri. And only now are we really looking at the very first Drake, 13 minutes in.
Demolished proc, Rift Herald summon. Very close to the whole turret going down here. Chippy's going to try and clear this one, but if the turret dies, there is a lone Ornn stranded. Thankfully for him, the charge, you know, Herald's nerves are nerfs, not nervous.
Could be.
I'm sure Shelly's okay.
Oh no!
Live dead.
Don't!
Live dead.
Unreal. Unreal. And I'm sure why not of all people was probably question mark pinging that one. No minute he's still in the area. He said, oh, you can finish this one off on your own. That's a monumental misplay and one that Chippy's just fully capitalized on.
Yeah, let's call a spade as well. The turret saved Chippy's life, and somehow the turret also afforded him a kill that perhaps should not have been there. But he was certainly given that one. Signed, sealed, delivered. Compliments of why not on the house.
Well, it certainly shakes things up now, as you were thinking that top lane was going ever so easy breezy. And that's going to even things up completely here. And actually, for the overall as well, you're looking at a dead even game now.
Yeah, gold almost entirely even, kills even. Game state fairly even, but not really in terms of where the distribution of gold is. I still feel like right now, they start farming really nicely, but Dongy is a threat.
Oh, look at the Magnus Storm onto free on the red carpet as well. They're in so much trouble. Why not flashing at the very last moment and may just survive? Doesn't get splattered on there by the Moonlight Vigil. But it is going to be a 1-for-1 as both supports will be the casualty.
Why not does well to live? Team Bliss do well to survive, only losing their support. There's no Drake to look at. There's no actual meaningful objective presently up on the board. So the fact that that is a skirmish that takes place and results in this 1-for-1, especially with Appy kicking this one off once again into the Gragas, gets the engage before the body slam is there, sets up this perfect equalizer, but they just couldn't quite cover the distance to get there in time, right? Ornn not going to have the horn because of the skirmish in top lane. Maybe that's 3 kills, not anymore.
Seeing how strong it is even without the full combo of the entire team coming together as a unit. It is a scary prospect there if Magnet Storm or Appy rather can continue to find massive engages like such. Let's then check with the overall gold as a result, as we are seeing once again it is a game of really 280 carries looking to outperform one another. Violet and Lemus at the top of the table. And you've already mentioned that Daystar's been farming up an absolute treat, but Dongy's not too far behind him.
I just think Dongy's effective gold right now is still quite useful. Doesn't have a completed item to be fair, so in terms of fight timing, this isn't perfect. And there is a very dead rel, so there is no fight to have timings for.
That's shaking things up a little bit as a result. Daystar now really creating a bit of a divide. A 700 gold lead to be exact over his counterpart. Chippy's in trouble, forced to flash over. And Bliss have just found a few rare moments to get a kill and a lot of pressure in the side lanes too.
Both of these teams love high-paced gaming, lived in big trouble.
He certainly is. Dongy's gone for the ultimate, not really landed as cleanly as you would have hoped for. Schönfire can't connect as well, and now this flank is a lot of trouble for them. Schönfire going to go one way. Blast Cone denies them, but Daystar across the wall. That will get it done. There's another botched engage. And that really hurts given the amount of pressure that Team Bliss had. PGG had to trade something back.
Yeah, they were looking really hard to force that one, but they just could not quite find it. Lived able to navigate really nicely, cover enough distance to get himself out alive. The teleport comes through to secure that trade. Now it's Violet's turn to push in mid lane. Again, we'll get some damage. Don't know if we'll be able to get more than just a little bit of damage here, though, with a static Shiv Zeri walking around one, tapping those creeps. We are in a very odd game state right now. Neither team really able to push. A lot of teams threatening dives, looking for angles to teleport to come into lane. Dongy going to use that one. I feel like we're just going to get fights at objectives. You know, the fights that mean something are just going to be at objectives, because right now it's just skirmishing for the sake of skirmishing. Just looking for picks, right? Looking for money
for sure.
While we can.
Looking for easy pickings, play around some of the cooldowns and look to try and capitalize on mistakes really more than anything has seemingly been the case in these first, 17 minutes.
Big item spikes though. Across the board now, right? 2 items done for Daystar. He's 18 mana usage of having a Muramana. That's a massive 2 item spike for this Jace. That's a 1v9 Jace in the next skirmish. Night Harvester done for the Rumble, however, does mean his DPS output at this point in the game is bonkers. Just add that on top of the equalizer that comes down. All it needs to do is tap 5 people and suddenly he's done 300 a pop.
Yep.
So while the Jace has a whole extra item Muramana done now and is a force to be reckoned with, if the fight happens quick, it may not be that influential. The Rumble will be immediately influential. Appy, with Flash, on the flank, even if spotted, can be very influential.
That's what we're keeping our eyes on for right now. Schönfire bears the brunt of a lot of damage. Explosive cast goes out. That prevents Chippy from landing the second charge now. PGG dispersed. Down goes the equalizer, but can they equalize this fight? It's looking doomed at the moment because PGG are running. Team Bliss are winning, and they're pushing forward. You can take down Jax in the lane, but he rocks up to the team
Akia.
fight and gets a double. The explosive cask just out of range. As they tried to snipe Violet on the back end there, they just bullied them out.
Just off lethal there for Akia, to be sure. Team Bliss will net themselves the Drake. That will be something that can no longer be contested. Pentanet.gg walk into the river. Staunch for control of the area, but a real mess of timings. First of all, Appy's about to remount. You'll see that at the top of the screen. As he does, misses the Q, and then the horn comes out. Gragasol's just going to dissuade them. Easy Gragasol to throw, perfectly done by Akia. He then body blocks, and Appy's just looking to protect Violet. Meanwhile, the red carpet's not hitting Lemus. There's no carries taking damage at all. And Bliss just steam train. They just run them over. It was not close. That was close, though.
That certainly was on the tail end, but overall, Team Bliss have just found themselves a moment to strike, shine, and really execute well. And now this game is blown wide open. 20 minutes in, they are up a substantial amount, up by 5,000 now. It's in all the right places. You already touched on how strong Daystar was. The 1v9 Jace is coming into effect. 2 items now complete for Lemus. With the Navori's done as well. Double carry setup is putting in work, and not to forget about the Jax as well. 2 items there. Side lanes don't exist.
And while Chippies does survive for a little while, it's not that he is unkillable. Herald going to be summoned here by Shernfire, seemingly because it was about to expire. He's going to place that one top lane. See if they can get themselves a top lane outer turret, but look at the transaction, look at the trades that could happen elsewhere on the map. They direct their attention towards mid, while Jax is also split pushing bot lane. They're starting to get run around the rift. And Dongi, who really wants to crash this Herald, needed to respect the missing members.
What a game we have now. PGG still exceedingly strong if it comes to a full-blown wombo combo setup, but do they have the safe passage to make that happen anymore? Will they just get picked apart on these side lanes? I say they wouldn't exist, and this is why. Don't even get a chance to step up to a wave, just get rotated on. Too many turrets, 3 to nothing. Bliss can go as they please.
Yeah, it is all falling apart right now for Pensanet.gg. Akia didn't even need to use the ultimate in top lane. That really was just damage from Daystar. Certainly is becoming the star of the show in this one.
We're looking for more, and so successfully as well. Daystar opens up the account with a double kill as well, might I add. Akia says, come right back here. The explosive cast they saved. Netston 2.
Hammer form to the skies sends Pensanet to the skies. Violet's turn. If he walks into this bush, he will find the exact same Jace in the exact same position, but Violet's not going to fall for the same trick, surely, the rest of his team fell for. Rest of the team of Bliss, however, doing Baron. It is very close to falling down already. About 4,000 health. This is not real.
Yeah, well, this is not the angle that Chippy was hoping for, potentially anticipating a flash away from Liv, but he didn't take the bait. He kept his cool and just walks away, really. And as you quite rightly point out, whilst that was going on, Bliss pick up the Baron and continue to build their lead that much further now.
Looking at this skirmish one more time, and by skirmish I mean looking at Pensanet face-checking a Jace and being one hit. That is exactly what they do. Really nice cast once again. I think Akia having a fantastic game still, all things considered. But the absolute star of the show, the hero in the mid lane, Daystar, does not slow down. He is relentless with this Jace. Not the first time we've seen it. I'm sure it won't be the last time.
Certainly won't. It is looking to try and 1v9 this game right now. PGG trying to answer back down. Goes the Equalize, looking to zone back any other members inside that fog of war. They'll find one. They remove the support. Can they find a second?
That's
Jax is
another.
dead. That feels good right now. Dongi gets the shutdown. They look to step forward. Shernfire acting as the Jax is unable to land the counter-strike. And Team Bliss may just be able to get themselves out of harm's way. Now, what is there to take? Dragon is down. And at least they've removed a few Baron buffs.
If Shernfire had flash there, I'm not convinced he wouldn't have gone for the flash counter-strike stun onto all 3 of them. It was certainly possible, but they get the kills. Right, they get 2 big kills. They get a teleport from Liv as well as Akia going down. Liv that felt like just disappeared at the blink of an eye. How quickly he dropped. They don't get the big carries on the team. The Zeri's still up. The Jace is still up. They're about to have summoners back on Lemus as well with that flash. And so it's really good money into the pockets of Pensanet. It's money they desperately needed. Doesn't feel like it's going to be enough to get them over the line or even back to even. You watch this one more time. Teleport comes through. They tank the Maokai ult. Lemus is trying to put down some really good damage and does put some down, but they simply flash away from him. And I think that's what this is going to come down to, right? 2 kills, but the summoner spell's traded. It means the Bliss now have angles that they didn't have before.
Quite a few ultimates were thrown towards just taking down the Gregors. Perhaps grateful that the fight didn't continue any much more, as Lemus certainly was poised to try and run over that fight and win it on his own. TP is going to be matched though, and it is at least going to be a equalizer on 2 separate occasions. Yes, Dongi is strong, but also the fact that this Baron buff isn't going to really net them that much of a gold lead. You can see there in the top right corner, only 160 gold. More so denial than anything.
Yeah, the Baron buff doesn't result in much. I think you're very happy with that if you're Pensinet, but still they group as 5. Note their composition still has that kind of feeling of necessity to group up as 5. Chippy's going to upgrade Violet. Ornament comes through. I think it's called Typhoon.
There it is.
Banger. Actually, the hardest part about this game is trying to remember the upgrades of Aphelios items. Especially when they release new items. They gave up at that point.
Radiant Virtue picked up, instantly upgraded there from Chippies as well. And he's definitely going to be that support tank, looking to try and make sure that the rest of his team can strike and pounce. Schernfire, unfortunately, the story hasn't got that much better for him. 0-6 at the moment. Very much a feast of famine kind of champion. And has really suffered from a lot of those early engages that just didn't go their way.
Hey. I mean, Dongi gets both out of turret bounties. They get a little bit of control over the map in terms of money. The thing that I'm still looking at, and like we're looking at a Bliss-controlled map. It's Bliss's world, it's Daystar's world, we're just living in it. But I'm still looking at this Aphelios. And it's an Aphelios that has almost 3 items, is almost nearing that point where one good blue ult is a wipe. And there's not a lot of tankiness in the carries of Team Bliss, right? Liv, Lemus, and Daystar can be wiped by a good Aphelios play. Izzy said they're done from Pensinet,
well,
but that's my hopium.
Square for that fight right now. Violet is very low on the ammunition for that blue ult. Whoever available just to start the fight off with, and that will be it. Lived on the flank right now. Is poised and perfect.
Wow.
Where do they go? They're boxed in. They're stuck, and they might just be damn well to lead. And Violet trying his hardest into the counter-strike and just gets outplayed by mechanics that Jax will just smash you down with. It's an easy 4-man. And they lose no one in the process.
And Maokai did the most damage in that fight as well, right? Why not just had an absolutely insane fight, walks away with full HP. You try and ignore this full tank, well, he's got a bit of extra damage on the side there as well. And absolutely gifted the engage of his life by Pensinet, who just completely whiffed their attempt. Chippy's in a spot of bother there, he's going to have to dash away. At the very least here, Skimmy, we're losing 2 inhibitors. Maybe just 1 inhibitor.
Maybe none.
Maybe no inhibitors will fall. Maybe not.
That's crazy.
But they'll win the fight. Was that intentional? You know, I don't think that
well,
was.
you wonder. You have to really wonder.
Oh, wait, did we get the recall? What a disaster, Skimmy.
2 became none. But ultimately, what a fight. Completely boxed in.
And the thing, okay, so the big thing about this fight, right, is the flank is fantastic. The angles are fantastic. The twisted advance from this Maokai, the ult will come through. He will then use his W onto Appy, who flashes into the middle of his own team. Bramble smashes all of them. Jax stuns all of them. Lived is into the mix. Violet is in shambles. There's no safe pathway to escape because there's a flank on all sides. And one of the rare situations where we get to witness a gorgeous team fight that is all about flanks, all about collapsing. It's not just a one-man teleport flank. That was a full-on collapse. And you love to see it.
We've certainly seen Bliss do it a few times this split as well. And they have been very much hot on the ball. Continue to find those angles and so we don't have to have these straight front to backs rather. You can be creative and you can certainly cause a bit of upset to a team that is so strong with the Wombo combo, but is being put in a bit of a pinch where it's not that easy just to lay it down and Magnet Storm into an equalize and say we just automatically win the fight.
It does still feel like, though, a lot of the execution isn't there from Pensinet.
Yeah.
We're really waiting for that fight where things go right for them. And Ornn comboed with a Rel. Rel finding an angle on something, you know, that makes a lot of... It's so tough to play the game out when your jungler is a 0-7 Viego too. And we said this in draft. You kind of need those resets, right? Yep. Your only magic damage right now is that Rumble in your comp. Viego can provide you with more. Certainly possible. But you got to get a kill to make that happen. And until that point, you just take out the threat. Jax doesn't take any damage from these physical damage dealers. He just keeps him at bay while you take out the Rumble, and suddenly you're laughing.
It does feel like now Bliss is putting him into a bit of a checkmate situation because Daystar is zoning them back and saying, well, how do you contest us when you've lost your soul engage in that rel? They're going to force out a TP. It is going to be matched by Liv coming in now on the Jax. Twisted Advance, rather the Nature's Grasp, I should say. Zones them away. They're still on the Baron. It's not looking like it's going to be stolen anytime soon. Picked up here by Bliss. That is Baron number 2 on the cards. Liv, surrounded by 4, is just going to look to try and walk away. Hops into the Baron pit. And in goes Schönfire. He wants it. He'll get it. And finally, he's able to feel a little bit better.
Daystar standing in a bush will use the Gate Shock Blast, but those are 2 members that he does not want to mess with. Baron buff goes the way of Bliss. They are 12,000 gold ahead, 29 minutes in. But somehow, we keep seeing these fights be fairly even. And somehow, Pentanet find themselves opportunities to be the aggressors and secure another objective against the Grain.
That's another bounty. Why not try to steal it with a sapling, and is going to be punished rightfully so. 4 members surround him. You talked about how strong Violet is. That's another kill added in. And you can be down 12,000 gold, but there's always that slim chance of a redemption.
Violet against the world. That is what it is. There's 4 meatballs and Violet running around on Summoner's Rift just trying to hold it down. And the reason that we call it that is you watch these team fights. If Violet is attacking someone, that person can die. If Violet is not attacking someone, no way Bliss dies. That's really the recipe for success here for them. But they've got to deal with a 5-1-5 Zerion, 8-1-10 Jace. Man, the carries of Bliss. I don't know if they win front to back, Pentanet.
No.
Not at this much of a deficit. Not without a mid laner.
No, they need Dongy. Instant flash away, and he will survive. Full combo's already been burnt by Bliss. But one less tool to utilize to try and get that surprise factor, to try and equalize this massive deficit in gold.
Teleport coming through from Chippy's feeling very unsafe in top lane. Gets himself back here. Level 16 now on the Ornn as well. Be able to give some ornaments back up to the rest of his team. So yeah, 0-7 Viego. Extra 1,000 gold in the pockets. Don't mind if I do.
Stopwatch 2.
Has his stoppy. Good shout. No control wards really available, but not a lot of map left for Pentanet to have to place them in.
Back inside their base now as the siege continues. Maybe Bliss looking to try and finish what they started by getting that very first inhibitor.
Oh, they got him.
Oh, looking to try and make something happen. And Zakia gets a little bit angsty, forces the fight,
Oh,
and they
they got
remove Violet. If Violet's dead, can they win? That is the question. I mean, Happy's found
They
one.
got their reset.
They've got that reset. Schönfire has become their Zeri, but gets stunned and removed. Daystar is now 9-1. Unbelievably strong. And I feel like at this moment, with the respawn timers being this high, 30 to 40 seconds and onwards, it's only 32 minutes in, but that is enough for Bliss to feel confident to try and go for the end. They've taken down one Nexus turret. They'll take down another warm body. They'll look towards the second Nexus turret. And they'll look to say, better luck next time, boys. You tried to throw a curveball at us. You tried to wombo combo, but damn that much gold. It is just not going to happen. It's the very first ace of the game. And with that, the first victory in this series for Bliss.
I mean, they gave it a valiant attempt at defense here from the side of Pentanet.gg. You can see some strengths in the team. You saw some strengths in the roster. But you want to talk about strengths. Daystar is just a man possessed right now in the LCO. Very clearly making a case for best mid laner in the league. After a performance like that, it's hard to doubt it. But again, Pentanet, they showed a lot of signs. I think Violet's still the person you have to look at. It's those early skirmishes, just threw so much chaos into this game.
Yep.
Made things so confusing, and with everything in disarray, Bliss were born in the skirmish style of gameplay. They were born in the chaos, and they just invited Pentanet to fight there.
I think it just goes back to our point as well there, Max, about the whole Schönfire argument. If he's ahead, they just tend to win. If he's behind, it becomes that much more of an uphill battle. And you're always going to circle back at those early few fights. When he's this close to getting the reset, could have been the difference.
It felt like, you know when you're on the at a playground with your friend on the seesaw, and you're having heaps of fun rocking up and down, and your friend goes, boom! And then you slam your ass on the ground and it hurts. Bliss kind of cooked that lead at in the middle of the game, slammed PGG into the ground. And maybe it was that cold start from Shenfire that felt like it spiraled it all off. Max, you were talking about the fights and how they went, that early engage. When it goes well, PGG starts looking a lot stronger.
Yeah, so to me, looking at these two comps from a draft perspective, I was surprised by PGG's approach to just headbutt engage into both Maokai and Gragas, but that is definitely their style and that is what they want to go for. To me, it really was a game of inches in these early game fights. You saw that one bot lane skirmish where Wynot bought just enough time to create enough space that Shenfire wasn't able to get the reset. Similarly, in that topside fight, not able to get that reset. And it really feels like Shern is the type of player, at least this split, that once he gets behind, doesn't really know where to pick himself up from. Kind of feels like he's constantly falling behind. Sure, it got a bit better towards the end of the game, but at that point, Bliss was so far ahead. And like you said, Daystar, just a monster on this Jace.
You do have to speak towards the resilience of Shenfire in a game like this, though, to be able to play Viego, be 0-7 and still find your resets and continue to make the highlights like this right afterwards. Shows the composure of the player that somehow he manages to stay in it and stay focused, but when all was said and done, if the game plan is kill Violet, you're watching Bliss recognize that and just shut them out before they could actually get a win.
And what was it that let Pentanet kind of hover in the game when it felt like, what was it? It was a 16,000 gold? Maybe I'm inflating that, but it was a huge gold difference near the end of the game. What was it that kind of let Pentanet stay into the game?
Bliss are a team that like to have fun. And I think that was definitely, we saw this multiple times this game. I think Wynot had a particularly egregious incident down towards one of the Infernal Dragons later on in the game that ended up costing them a lot of tempo. And similarly, just random deaths here and there. I think anytime we saw a straight 5v5, for the exception of, you know, a couple plays around that Baron, it seemed very clear that Bliss just had the better execution. They were consistently finding Violet and taking him down. So I think, yeah, yes, there were minor hiccups, but ultimately Bliss was in firm control of this game.
And Daystar, diabolical, man. That guy is crazy on the Jace. It comes through, it does so much damage, and that's kind of what I wanted to move on to here is the draft. And we don't see Rumble that much. Rumble came out, and it felt like a decent performance. There were a lot of equalizers, I think, that didn't really hit their mark. But the Pentanet versus Bliss draft, is that kind of what felt like to find the game?
Yeah, I think so. To me, it's a question of how many teams are just going to keep giving Bliss this Maokai Jace combo. Wynot is going to pick that first. Every single game is on blue side, and then Daystar on Jace just seems unstoppable. Like you said, that Rumble mid combo is a very dongy PGG pick, right? Inspired by the PCS. You want to get active on the map, and Rumble's a fantastic champion at just pushing mid and saying, I'm going to go bot. That being said, there weren't really those fights where that Rumble and Rel were able to connect and have that Magnet Storm come out with the equalizer and really wreak havoc in a fight. So when you're having that, you know, sort of de-synergy between those two champions, it becomes hard for them to get to their full strength.
That is exactly the issue, but also comes back to what you said about draft, right? So if you're building a comp that has this Rumble, which is like very specific for you, the Viego, the Rumble, trying to get those resets, and you have the Rel that engages, but you are giving them Gragas into the Rel and the Maokai Jace combo to disengage, then you're just kind of increasing the difficulty of execution for yourself anyway, then trying to play out the comp your way. And you can see Bliss don't have to play conventional front-to-back League of Legends with the comps that they've been given. They can just collapse from 4 different angles, and you can't front-to-back. There is no front anymore, and it's impossible to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And from a macro perspective as well, I think Bliss played this game really well. I've got a replay I want to take a look at real quick, just to show the rotations of Team Bliss. So this all starts with PGG getting on towards the Herald, and Bliss acknowledging that we're not going to fight this, we're going to sacrifice it, get a pick onto Rel. This is what starts it all. Now, take a look at Wynot here. Instead of sacrificing, going to protect the top lane play, he realizes that Chippies is going to rotate to try to protect that tier 2 turret. Ends up meeting him halfway, burns his flash, allowing Lemus to crash his wave and get chunks onto this bot lane turret. So already, they've acknowledged that they're not getting the Herald, they're not trying to fight, they're not trying to, you know, compensate for a player that's already dead. Meanwhile, on the top side, it lives in a potentially precarious position, but you can see the response here. Arky has already roamed up, and Daystar commits the TP. So what I want trying to say here is that Team Bliss just look out for each other collectively all across the map and are so good at responding to PGG that they can't actually get anything despite having the better of the play.
Far out. I feel like, I mean, I'm nowhere close to Challenger, but my brain just explodes when I realize how much teams work together in competitive play. It's nothing like solo queue. It really is like, it's such a different world.
And it's rare to see, like, the main thing for me is that they were just saying, okay, we're not going to fight the Herald. Like, that never happens, it feels like.
From Wynot too. He feels like a pretty explosive guy when you meet him in real life. Very outgoing. To feel him show restraint is very unusual. So also on this bot lane shenanigans, I know you mentioned earlier that Gragas is great against Rel. What is it the boom when he knocks Rel away as she's charging?
Yeah, Rel can't use her W at all. She can't crash down, right? Because instantly cancelled. So it changes the way that Rel has to play laning phase, which means you're more of a remount Andy than you are a crash down Andy. But also in team fights, if Gragas is positioned between you and the carry, you can't do anything. There was like the old Rel strategy was you just flash hit the ult combo as fast as you possibly can and then stun with the E, but because they've changed that to be a Q Lance, you've actually lost a bit of agency in the Rel vs Gragas matchup. So I think it's even more Gragas sided than it was before. So I expect every Rel blind to be matched with a Gragas. That full stop.
And coming back to, I know you were saying this during the cast, but it kind of seems like Rel isn't blind pickable anymore from at least what I've seen. Like, every answer that's come out so far has seemed quite adequate in ensuring that it's not able to get off. Whether that's because, this game, it is the primary source of engage, besides that Ornn. So if you just deal with the Rel, you're kind of fine. That's another question. But yeah, definitely Arkia having the better of the support matchup today.
Because what do you have against Rel, okay? You see your enemy lock in Rel, it's like, all right, boys. Alistar.
Alistar, Thresh, Gragas.
Poppy for other
Milio,
roles.
Poppy.
Milio.
There's a bunch.
It feels hard to lock down on Rel,
That's
especially
more
when
than there is
blind.
bans, to be clear, on our hand right now.
And you're not banning out just for Rel.
No.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So when do you choose her? Because she still feels like an awesome champ. Even in the LPL, bro, she's getting locked in jungle. And that is a viable pick. We haven't seen it here. When do you choose Rel if you have the chance to do it with knowing what the enemy support is?
I mean, if you flex it, then I think you have more freedom to pick it early. But for me, it's at the same time you're meant to pick bottom lane is usually 2-3 into bans, right? So if like red side 2-3 into ban phase, then you can get rid of those free counters is when I would look at it. I just wouldn't first pick it. Like just first pick a jungler or an AD carry and then like make them show something, right? So that you have that freedom. Or just pick the Gragas yourself first, right?
Yeah, and to clarify, I'm not saying that Rel is a terrible champion by any means. I still think it's a very strong champion on the patch. I think against Maokai, Gragas, Jace, it sucks.
Well, I'm pretty sure Rel was one of the champions in our bingo. So if you're at home, you've got your glasses on, you're looking down your little sheet of paper that you prepared. What champions have we seen already? That's quite a few. Cassante, Viego, Aphelios, Nautilus, Jace, and Kaiser being knocked out. That's the first one from that third row, by the way. So it seems so hard to break away from those bottom two rows. Finally gotten one picked out, and it's Kaiser who's been locked in heaps of times.
Fourth
Jace
row
as well.
looking rough here, Quicksand, for bingo, though. If you have to have one from each row.
Uh-oh.
So we're relying in this last game to have one of them.
Liv plays Camille, and all is right in the world again.
Oh,
Liv plays Camille.
I had a tweet that I wanted to read out from Liv that I saw pre-game.
Oh my god. Okay, please.
I don't have it with me, but it goes along the lines of, I went out to wash my dad's car. He wanted to make sure it was crystal clean. I came back inside after a couple hours. He looked at me. He asked, "How's my car looking?" I said, "Chippies." He smiled and nodded because he knew it was washed.
That's bagger.
I've never seen this from Liv, can I just say?
That's so good.
That's so out of pocket, eh?
I know.
That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
But the happiest person is just like, I'm just going to flame this guy. Why not?
Also,
Hilarious. And then he gets solo killed by him on the turret.
He does the
Of
turret.
course.
Oh.
from the fans, so far, what we're seeing is 2 knocked off the list of 5, showing it's not as easy as you think it is.
Well, he also said anyone need an analyst.
Oh, of course, yeah.
No.
2 out of 5 ain't
almost
bad
beat
for an
you
analyst,
out.
right?
How many did you get?
I got 3? 3, I think.
They're stepping up.
Two or-
Hey,
two or three.
maybe the next one, if anyone stepped over 3, man, come on. take a
3
go.
is analyst territory. Come back when there's 3,
Yeah.
Kezi.
Yeah.
So you're right. Maybe this is a hard barrier to break. Scion, LeBlanc. Do we see Nocturne much? Has it been played in the LCO?
Not in a long, long time. Not in a long, long
I
time.
think it's pickable,
Mm.
but I don't know if we've seen it. We might have seen it once. The last time we said this, we just straight gaslit.
Yeah.
I
with a lie,
feel like
so-
from memory, the
Yeah.
last time would have been like old Chiefs when they had like Tapoon and Tally. That's all I can remember was when I played.
Gravitas, Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, like
Yeah, the
I'm
old
thinking
combo.
old school combos. Yeah, but that's like years.
It's pickable into Jace. That's my number one take
Mhm.
with Nocturne at all times. Is if I pick Jace, I'm afraid of Nocturne. That's just true, forever.
Well, speaking of Jace as well, with Daystar, he feels like you can't shut him down, man. Everyone's looking at everything, and Daystar is just showing up every single time. What is it that they need to do to lock down the big man?
Daystar's one of those players that is very rare in OST in that he very rarely makes mistakes individually in lane that will cost him tempo. So when he gets a lead, he's going to have that lead for a while. And especially on a champion like Jace, where you're already inherently so safe playing from a million range, he's so good at sort of commanding his teammates. I don't know how the comms are looking, but he's always in a position where he's got a Gragas in front of him or he's got a Maokai in front of him. He's not overextending on side lanes. I saw a couple times there, even at like the 20-minute mark when he's right outside his tier 2 turret, he's waiting for Arkia to walk up first, check the bush, and then push up. So he's just got that extra level of restraint when he has a lead that makes it so hard to actually take him down.
Just bring back the old days style where you would just like slam lock in like a mid Irelia and just say, I'm just going to absolutely crush you. And yeah, I'm going to be vulnerable, but like, you're just going to lose. And you're just like,
0-6 crusher.
it's just crazy. I don't care. I'm 06. You've capped me. I'm still going to be relevant. It's crazy.
With that,
Love
Bliss,
it.
a tight game up against PGG where they finally found room to break away. Still one more to go, and of course, if you know PGG, you know that they may as well pick up a draw every single game, which they have. Can PGG hold on to the draws, or can Team Bliss finally give Pentanet something that isn't a draw? Come back after the break to find out.
We're keeping our eyes on forward right now. Schönfire bears in front of a lot of damage. Explosive cast goes out. That prevents Chippies from landing the second charge now. PGG dispersed. Down goes the equalizer, but can they equalize this fight? It's looking doomed at the moment because PGG are running. Team Bliss are winning and they're pushing forward. You can take down Jack.
Train unstoppable, started from the bottom in the grain. Won't quit, it's like it's wired in my brain. This is something that I never will explain. Right up in their face where I'm supposed to be. Face like a rosary. Stay up on the rise so the skies feel close to me. Cameras are surprised when I realize they ghosted me. Back with a vengeance, no limits, no jokes to me. Hopefully, you can see we too stacked. And when we get pushed, we push back. We keep on building with no limits, so only we can say when we finish. Cause we don't quit, we don't fall. If we leave, we take it all. Only rise, we never fall. Just emerge to take the call. Call it an emergence. This is me coming in to view the apex. Best stepping over you. Call it an emergence. Freedom got me acting brand new. Finally in my bag like it's long overdue. Never fall back, never quit. Can I get rewards without the risk? Affection with the hand of vigorness. You will never see another like this.
Now, I ain't never been for the small talk, knock it out the ballpark, walk off, walk tall, ayy. Something missing from the balls, dog, bark soft, kinda glitchy, looking like you need an upgrade, say.
We don't quit, we don't fall. If we leave, we take it all. Only rise, we never fall. Just emerge to take the call. Call it an emergence. This is me coming in to view the apex. Best stepping over you. Call it an emergence. Freedom got me acting brand new. Finally in my bag like it's long overdue. Never fall back, never quit. Can I get rewards without the risk? Affection with the hand of vigorness. You will never see another like this. Call it an emergence. This is me coming in to view the apex. Best stepping over you. Call it an emergence. Freedom got me acting brand new. Finally in my bag like it's long overdue. Never fall back, never quit. Can I get rewards without the risk? Affection with the hand of vigorness. You will never see another like this. Call it an emergence.
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kiffy's not able. It's a pentakill. Second, they'll find a second. Chippies is on an absolute tear right now.
Welcome back, everybody. We are ready for game number 2. Bliss up against Pentanet, and oh my god, the first game, so close until it wasn't. But I think there's something we have to do, and while I've been on the show, I've seen many extravagant things when you're all drinking dare, whether it's skimmy pouring into your mouth or someone just taking a beautiful sip and winking at the camera. I think it's my time for a dare baptism.
It is,
I
mate.
think it absolutely
It is, and it wouldn't be right for somebody to join the show and not be amongst the festivities. That is a beautiful Dare iced coffee. So,
I don't know what's going
Skimmy, if you will please read
in the
the
bathroom.
processional.
well, we are all joined here today to
Take a
welcome
knee.
Quicksand as the latest and greatest addition to this beautiful team that we have here down under. And as part of that agreement, you must get on your knees, be baptized by the beautiful limited edition taste of the most intense coffee known to mankind. And with that done, that in mind, please now take a sip from the wealth of knowledge, the wealth of youth that makes us all so happy and wholesome.
Beautiful, beautiful
Talk
track
about
as well.
League of Legends.
Hey, bang of tunes.
Get that in ya,
Intense
mate. Get that
espresso.
in ya.
And amen.
Amen, brother. Beautiful. It's beautiful. You are now a welcome member of the LCO community that has been fully baptized.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And now you're energized. You ready to go? You ready to talk about game number 2?
Game number 2.
Woo!
Woo! Man, that was intense. They were not lying.
Very intense. You still got a
Oh,
little, a
sorry.
little something there.
Got some dare on the dome.
It's
mate.
moisturizer.
Dare on the dome.
Oh,
Back to-
music.
okay,
that's that call to get back to
sorry,
work.
Sorry.
Back to work. Sorry, guys. So, game number 2. No more kerfuffling. No more dilly-dallying.
Business suits on.
Okay, Pentanet. They felt like they started. They stayed equal for the first period of the game. Even though Fire was cold, they managed to hold onto the rope and try to climb back in. How did they bring it back this game?
Look, it's a tough question, and I think that, to me, it is a matter of execution as opposed to anything else. I think they're remaining on the red side, right? From memory.
Yeah,
I'm
they
pretty
chose
sure
red. They
I'm
chose
pretty sure
red.
they're remaining
They
on the
chose
red
red.
side here. So, to me, draft-wise, I'm not sure if they'll spice anything up. The thing that could change is potentially the rumble for something else. Normally, when you pick a Viego, you want a bit of CC to go alongside it. We know that, Dongy can pick out something like the Ari, dive back with him, perhaps help him get his resets. But that being said, we won't have to wait very long for the answer.
Gentlemen, please take it away. Chat select.
It is time. The conclusion to the series. Will Pentanet get yet another draw, or will Bliss look to upset the apple cart and say it's a perfect 2-0 for us? With back-to-back blue side drafts, once again, to no one's surprise,
Wow,
it's
what
a
a
first pick,
shocker of a
Maokai.
first pick. That is a big surprise. We've gone for the Maokai here. Question remains, what did Pentanet run it back with, right? Because the last game, when you think about it, the last game wasn't necessarily won or lost on draft. It was this weird, chaotic early game that just had this snowball effect that gave Bliss so much control in a lot of lanes, right? And that, yes, affected bottom lane, and yes, Violet was quite fed, but so was Lemus, and so was everybody on the side of Team Bliss compared to just Violet on Pentanet. So I don't think that they looked at the draft, Pentanet between games, between their 15-minute rest, and thought, draft is just unequivocally the biggest issue that we possibly had.
Yeah.
I don't think they're upset at the idea of running it back.
Well, it feels to me like it's the champion order, which has been the biggest switch up, despite us seeing the same champions locked in, right? The second pick bit the rail last time, it's going to be the Viego instead. They're going to make sure we don't go for a blind rail. It didn't end up too nicely for us.
Makes sense.
Kaiser comes out instead this time, is the difference between that and Nazeri of last.
And what if you pick Rel now and you ban Gragas? You know what I'm saying?
How good would that be?
Close enough.
Still a world in which you quite honestly ban the Gragas,
Yeah.
right? Even if the Nautilus comes out to play instead of that rail.
Ban things that are ban things that specialize in disengage, definitely worth considering. However, keep in mind that the Kai'Sa tends to have engaged champions around it also, right? So while you've got this Maokai there, can engage, can disengage, very flexible in its play style. The Kai'Sa loves things that are aggressive, like that Rel itself down in that bottom lane, like the Nautilus itself down in that bot lane matchup.
Sure.
And now I think the stage is set for exactly that, right? Aphelios Nautilus can be super aggressive 2v2. It can be a really good nullifying lane as well. They can just coast their way through that laning phase. And Penson, I think, not revealing their mid laner is smart, even though the Jace is there. It lets them see more of the composition potentially. Yeah, you're going to get the Azir banned away from you. That's life. That's not like Dongy's a one trick. He just had an exceptional Azir game. He is a very good Azir player. plenty of choices still there for Pentanet.gg.
Still a lot left up and available. Obviously, the one big change in the second half of the draft is that Pentanet have denied away the Jax this time from Liv. Got a little bit too excited on that one. That is for certain. As well as the NAR, so denying two big heavy hitters when it comes to massive AoE setup. Puts a bit of a spotlight on the fact that they feel like they're getting outclassed in a lot of those big fights where close quarters, line it up with the Maokai, just too easy for Bliss to win.
Seems like we're setting up for a Scion 5th pick red side
Yeah,
from the looks of it
sure.
with these bans. Get rid of some of the options that can handle you really well. This is the other obvious choice, right? You ban the Gnar and the Jax. The Renekton seems to just rise a little bit more in priority. Gnar is one of those really annoying lanes to deal with as a Renekton. I jokingly said Quinn before for Chippies. Now, I don't think Liv jokes around when this is hovered. When do you see Quinn? Into Renekton. That is the only matchup that I've seen a Quinn. I don't say with 100% certainty that it's going to get locked in. Don't get me wrong. But I have to float the idea when you see the Renekton there.
Well, it looked like a semi-serious hover for a second. There's definitely merit behind the play, right? But ultimately, Cassante is a little bit too well-rounded as a whole package as opposed to the isolated 1v1. So they're going to go for that. Why would they not? It's up and available. And now the question becomes, how do you want to make sure that this Kai'Sa does maximum amount of damage? Well, Leona is right up there with it.
Yeah, Leona is a stellar pick for their draft. Physical damage, magic damage, on-hit attacks, the sunlight procs are going to happen left, right, and center. Leona is that really reliable engage option now. Maokai flanks, or the ult coming through slowly as it rolls through. Leona just kicks it off immediately. The instant engage, that's what they were really after, that snap decision. Really good damage mix, really high DPS champions and composition right now from Team Bliss. Pentanet rounded out with the same champions in a very similar way, right? Chippy's going to be on that top tank, however, is still going to be a Renekton this time around, not the Ornn. So giving himself a little bit more up there. This is one of those matchups that we saw earlier today, Skimmy, where we said Renekton tends to be able to go fairly even, but did not in that matchup.
Yeah.
It seems like it is still very much a skill matchup.
Well, that begs the question then as to can Chippies demonstrate his carryability, which Liv was saying, hey, don't think he's really up there anymore to deliver on that front. So definitely a big spotlight on the top lane. Obviously, the case is that it's going to be that solo AP rumble once more. In game one, there were definitely a few ultimates that left a lot to be desired there from Dongi, but at the same time, there was definitely situations where it wasn't all coming together as the full package as the draft was meant to function. So really hoping this time it can find a little bit more success. And perhaps in this draft, you might not be looking at the Night Harvester. Maybe the Leandries looks a little bit more attractive with that many beefy targets to try and shred through. Maybe it just creeps up the ladder.
Yeah, there is certainly a lot of tanks actually to shred through in that composition. Rumble very good at doing so. I will say as well, we spoke about the ults from Dongi. His general positioning was still quite solid in that last game, right? Just missed the mark with a couple of those equalizers. Violet on this Aphelios, still the star of the show here from game number one. Same champion in game number two. Still gets to rise up the ranks and prove that Violet and Appy are one of the best bot lanes in the LCO.
Same champion, Rusty, but will it be the same outcome? They are certainly hoping not, as they want that win, they want that draw, and they want to continue to fight tooth and nail for every single point up for grabs, as we're only really a week away now, not this one included, from concluding this entire split as we lead ourselves into playoffs. Let's see if anything crazy happens at the level 1 mark this time around. Everybody much more fanned out to start off here in game 2.
Pentanet.gg, you can see it on your screen. Only get draws. They've never lost a series 0-2. They've never won a series 2-0. No matter who their opponent is, they've not been able to cross that threshold. But now they're on the brink of a 0-2. Need to respect Bliss. I will say their adaptations between games 1 and 2, I think are really solid. I think it makes a lot of sense. They didn't fall into the Rel trap with the Gragas response. They didn't have a Gragas Maokai as their opponents. It's a lot more front to back from Team Bliss. I think there's a lot of flexibility still there, to be fair, from the Bliss composition, right? Kai'Sa Jace, it's a poke comp. Certainly can be. Cassante can separate and isolate carries, could remove Viego, stop resets, could remove the Aphelios, and suddenly he's not going to be able to get teamfight DPS down.
Sure.
But it's a bit more front to back. It's a bit more engage-oriented, which means that Pentanet can play their comp out a bit more appropriately.
certainly feels like we're, you know, almost teasing best of 3, best of 5 territory where we're just running it back with the same kind of composition with minor tweaks here and there to try and fine-tune what did and did not work in the previous match. Either way, though, curious to see just how much of an impact the support difference will be this time around, as that's the major change. You mentioned just how strong Leona could be.
Arkia also has gone 2 games of Aftershock in a row. So, you know, the support norm is the Glacial Augment that you're seeing on Appy. Arkia seems to have a strong preference to this hard tank option.
Less lockdown, more durability, really, eh?
Yeah, I feel like 90% of the time, though, with these tanks at the moment, it has been that Glacial Augment. So I wonder if this is a trend that is changing and Arkia is just, you know, right at the forefront of that one, or if it's a personal preference from him. But again, not something often seen as junglers are about to meet.
Let's see who's there to offer them a hand right now. Mid lane held in suspension. Bot lane is going to be forced to go away from underneath the turret. Wave has just been removed, so Happy and Violet shouldn't really miss out on too much if they come across to this one. It's going to be Dong that actually gets caught out of position here. 2 members surrounding him, backed it back towards this tower. The Void Missile just misses, and that may have just been the difference. First Blood eludes them. And there's no way Arkia looks to try and make a play across this wall. Look at him go! What was that? What is he doing? He's a madman, he's a psycho, but I tell you what, it's paid off beautifully and given Daystar first blood.
Arkia simply is built different. There is support and then there is Arkia. He is a level above right now with that aggression, with that killer instinct. And there was definitely a world where Daystar used his flash and it was just a kill with the Void coming out of Kai'Sa, right? That W connects. The flash E knocks him back towards the team. Either way, the fact that doesn't happen, they'll still get the follow-up kill. They'll take it. They'll take whatever they can get in that situation. Shernfire is going to get his recall cancel here as well. But Arkia putting on an absolute clinic of hyper-aggressive League of Legends.
Unreal start to this game here. He is at the forefront of being a little bit more tanky. He was certainly tanky enough to make that play happen in and out in a jiffy. Gets it done. And looks to try and really continue where they left off from game 1.
Aftershock gap. Extra tankiness helps him stay alive there as well. The level 2 Leona clutches up. Game continues, however. After that reset, Dongi does go back. Of course, no choice of his own. Crashes the wave as best he can in mid lane right now. Daystar, however, just sitting a little bit prettier in this lane, being able to start Cull, get that tier, get that kill. Does so much for keeping him strong while also having a very greedy scaling build.
Without a doubt here, going to be able to vibe and just farm up an absolute treat here, cash in a lot of gold and slowly work his way to that Muramana. Which certainly was the breaking point in last game. Dustblade as well as that complete very early on and just really exploded into life. I mean, you saw the amount of damage he did at the end of game 1. I'll certainly be hoping that it works out in their favor again for game number 2. In with his Zenith Blade to start things off again. Why not? He's hungry and hunting. As a flash, if he decides to go in. Shernfire is here now as well, on vision. There's no way you can test it when 3 members really are staring you down.
Yeah, they have control of the river. There's no way to push beyond where he currently was. Cannot staunch them off, cannot force the control ward to be taken. Team Bliss just working around their jungler better. I think that is really the tail of the tape right now. That initial pick in mid lane was Why Not. You know, it was Why Not that finds that angle. This play in bottom, Why Not's there. Arkia finds the angle, just baiting them in, playing around vision. Everywhere Shernfire goes, it feels like 3 seconds earlier. There is a Why Not who's already there. Steps ahead of you.
Able to find his impact, we'll say though, over the amount of time that Why Not has spent looking to try and make these plays happen. Shernfire is ever so slightly pulling ahead in the jungle. Able to get to level 6 first, could be a massive win for them. But it's bot lane focus once more. He's in the area on the Scuttle Crab so far. Appy's in trouble, buffers it nicely with a hook away, but gets followed with the Zenith Blade, gets taken down by the Leona. There is the Gravitum lined up and ready to try and lock members down. Just wait for Shernfire to pull the trigger. In they go. Can they find that kill they so desperately need? Look at Arkia again. Violet's found one. Out of range for Shernfire to claim it.
Oh,
Lemus got angsty there. He tried, but 25 HP denies it.
Someone leveled up there. Don't tell me it wasn't Shernfire that leveled up during that skirmish. I think it might have been Lemus, but flashes forwards. just barely off lethal. Violet able to get himself the kill, able to just be so strong in this lane once again. Nothing going to be able to stop that recall except minions, and they're not feeling angry today. Violet will get himself back to base. Appy in mid lane right now just to confirm this wave gets crashed and will be pushed in. Watching this skirmish one more time. Hook hits the wall. Arkia follows with the E of his own. They just lock Appy down, makes his life miserable. The re-engage comes through. Violet cannot activate the Gravitum, however. Wants to cycle through that weapon as he activates it there. Hits his red-white. Schernfire goes forwards. Lemus is the person who levels up, I believe, here as well. And consider that if he leveled up the ability before he used the flash Q there,
Could have been the difference.
that could have been the most likely was lethal.
25 HP separating from that, and beautiful flash forward. Unable to kill confirm like they would have been hoping. So, back to a dead even game here. But certainly a very explosive bot lane, and Arkia has really been impressing me.
But an even game at that. Right, it's an explosive game. There's action everywhere. You're looking at it once again. It's going to be a 2v2 this time if Why Not goes in. However, they're looking.
They certainly are looking. It's the Heartbreaker to start things off. The Twisted Advance to try and go unstoppable. But they're burning. They're running Daystar down, but now they lack the range. A flash denies it. But a potential invitation to make it happen again.
The Gate Shock Blast just goes wide from Daystar. Perhaps a way to stay in lane goes awry. Rift Herald going to be kicked off here, and Geraldine gonna spot a bother. Schernfire should be able to take that one. Should be a non-contest given that Chippy's had prior enough to set it up for him in the first place. Level 6 now starting to crest over as well for all these bot lane members.
Oh, Violet stepped up for that one. Instantly punished, has to cleanse and flash away. Solar Flare on his head! He tried to step up to hit the sniper, and they say that's illegal. That is not allowed, not in our lane, and we will punish you for it. They're really looking to put a lot of damage into Appy as well, make it his absolute misery to try and soak away for Violet's return. But the killer instinct of this Arkia Leona, it's lethal.
Yeah, I mean, this bot lane of Bliss, they're definitely sharing a singular brain cell right now. They're playing fantastic League of Legends. And they're doing it together. Arkia, hyper-aggressive. Lemus, no hesitation in following that mindset up in its entirety. And I mean, you say it's going to happen with Arkia. That's the thing that I'm enjoying the most about him. Leona's level 6, well, would you believe it? They looked for the angle straight away. You can't cleanse 7 different forms of crowd control.
No.
There's no Gale Force to keep him alive either. Violet just gone.
40 at the moment to try and strike and do a bit of cheeky trading in lane. Certainly not going to be that easy. Just simply not allowed. A rare chance to check in with the top lane as well. And it seems like a fairly even bout at the moment.
Chippy's holding his own at least
Yep.
in this matchup.
Nothing really separating these two at the moment. Only difference being that Chippy's does have his TP still up and available.
Schernfire's turn to move with Appy and Violet this time around as well, but there is no depth charge on the Nautilus. Maybe just a hook that kicks this one off, and Why Not, to no one's surprise, is already here. Man wrote the playbook. Drake started, Daystar could check this one, but the Scuttlecrab confirms that it's already there and being done.
Control Wood is
Here
not
they
giving
come.
them much value at the moment. The Nature's Grass to start things up. Appy to soak it. The rest of this team's a body blocking. Equalizer goes down. Moonlight Vigil as well. The Chakrams are ramped up and ready to go. I mean, they're running members down. They found 2 so far. The Dragon was a bait. The fight is what they wanted, and the fight is what they win.
And they just invite the Leona to come forwards. They invite the Maokai to come forwards and turn instantly with no hesitation. Daystar has a crack. But he's not going to be able to get the kill. Top lane all in fighting as well. And Chippy seems like he is getting the better of Liv. And once again, poised for a much better game is Pentanet.gg this time around. You called it. The Maokai ult comes in. Arkia says, let's follow this one through. And they just instantly turn and burn. The Equalizer comes out. The Affiliate ult comes down. They give him no chance to think. They give him no chance to breathe. Schernfire happy with these 2. Will disengage to the train.
And look at Lemus and Daystar. As soon as the Equalizer went down, they ran away. 0 DPS coming out from your main 2 carries. And then 2 engage threats realized, yeah, it was a great play to try and isolate out Appy, but it's backfired sorely.
Shock Blast was good from Daystar, but you're right. I mean, they just have a lot of zoning tools. There's one thing I will say about this Pentanet comp. Rumble Equalizer, Aphelios Ultimate, Nautilus able to control a lot of bodies of area as well. I think particularly fights that take place in the river. Fights that take place in the choke points to the river. Pensinet prosper.
For sure.
Right, that is their best case scenario for these skirmishes. I think the Bliss have a similar philosophy in mind, to be fair, right? If they clump up, Daystar, Lemus get to hit free skill shots and whittle them down, but I don't think Bliss need to immediately engage. It's Pensinet that want to.
It's the depth charge to start things off. The Glacial Augment. Lemus already zoned away. The Gravitum after the flash away. Solar Flare goes down. No stun. Just a slow sitting on the cooker right now. Burning, smiting, ulting, and reset upon. Unable to claim the soul just yet. They may never be able to. As the wave will be crashed, the Herald will be summoned. And PGG are angry.
A 0-7 Viego becomes a 2-0-2 Viego. Schönfire with a complete 180 on his Game 1 performance. The squad rallying around him as well, now finding themselves roughly 2,000 gold in advantage. Still plenty of room for that to swing in either direction, but as it stands, this is way better from Pensinet.gg. Turns out that stable early game helps them out a lot.
Who would have guessed? Certainly is a much more even affair here, and it is still the Daystar show right now, but now Schönfire is in hot second. But it's got to be careful. He doesn't have flash for another 5 to 10 seconds, and he is actually forced to burn the cleanse, taking no chances there.
Better safe than sorry, I suppose. Didn't know how many people were there. Didn't know how much time he had, or if the Maokai ultimate was really just used to keep him busy. Looked in mid lane.
Dongy's in trouble right now. He's been knocked back, and it's a beautiful twisted advance. Prime so effortlessly. And Schönfire thinks I'm here first. The play's ours. But Team Bliss say no.
They have the numbers, they have the advantage, they have the crowd control combo, and it is no longer a 2v2. They also did not have Viego or Rumble ultimates. So it was never really a play, but it was something that they entertained enough. If it was just a wave they were trying to push in, they did a little bit too far forwards, right? They entertained it just enough that the door was left open, and that Bliss do not hesitate to find that angle.
Not a bad lane to target, all honesty. Solo source of AP, down 0-2 and 4 right now. And you can make life a little bit easy for the rest of the team to itemize towards some of the armor nice and early on. You can see play the steel caps already coming on through. Gonna make sure that, yeah, sure, Aphelios, you can be strong, Schönfire, Chippies, whatever it may be. You can look to try and scrap with us.
It is also the Boots of Lucidity, no cleanse Rumble into a Leona, right? So that is a prime target that you're going to engage upon. Also, speaking of magic damage that you brought up, Kai'Sa well on the path to a second item magic damage. Nash's Tooth.
Certainly is. Does beg the question then, would Bliss then pivot around more of that poke comp with the combination of the Jace as well? Play around the objectives and really whittle PGG down before they can try and just set up beautifully with that wombo combo.
I think waiting for the Muramana once this Manamune is upgraded and the Nash's Tooth definitely look more towards being a poke or harass-based objective comp. You know, go for the Drakes, go for the Baron buff, but throw out those skill shots first. Just bring Pensinet towards you, entertain Pensinet, right? Keep them busy. And then just hit the go button with that Leona, with that Maokai flank when you find your angles. Maokai also very good poke champion with his build as well, going the AP pathway.
Yep.
Demonic Embrace looks like it's going to be his first item again.
Already saw it last game. Did the most damage in one of those team fights. So certainly not a champion to write off by any stretch of the imagination.
I guess the question is, will Pensinet allow that to happen as they're already teleporting in here? Double teleports at the exact same time. 16 minutes into this game, they were all in on Appy hitting that hook and nothing else.
And all three teleports from everybody, really, all utilized to get to mid lane as quickly as possible as they utilize the Herald to find one turret. So I'd love to try and find a second charge of this one, but Liv is looking to try and zone him away and just able to do enough damage to prevent that one from going through.
Clean.
PGG ultimately up by 2,000 gold right now as we're hitting the 16-minute mark. It's a much better picture for them. And with a Dragon up and available, only the second one of the game, but they look to go for that as well.
Seems like they have the advantage though for this Drake, so this is going to be a non-contest here by PGG. They'll let it go. The 2 teleports being used there hurt a lot for the current moment, but we're post 14, so we are going to have the unleashed teleports cool down at the very least. Still, I think when all's said and done, the advantage is mostly through the jungle role, right? If you're really highlighting where is the difference right now, why not just finished his first item 17 minutes in? 50 CS difference, 2-0-2 scoreline for the Viego. Trinity Force been done for quite some time. Is a force to be reckoned with, but I think for me, you know, 2,000 gold is not enough against Bliss's composition, not with the spikes that they're about to have.
Absolutely, and as you rightly pointed out already, Lemus has now hit that second item spike with the Nashers too. If you're looking at a few more stacks, less than 100 now for Daystar, and he's suddenly a massive menace as well on that 2-item spike. At which point, PGD need to play even more flawlessly when it comes to setting up their fights and finding their moments to strike.
Interesting that they aren't looking at this bot lane turret as well. They're going to put more of their focus towards mid lane, it seems. They have no Herald. It's already been summoned. W evolve now there for the Kai'Sa as well, so they're going to have to start respecting these consistent seekers that are just heat-seeking, honestly. It's Arkia.
He's gone in. He's absolutely center right now. Look to try and pick apart Violet, and it's been ever so successful. The carry is gone. That's what you need, and Lemus is looking for seconds. He will certainly confirm it. Schönfire jumps in and says, you can't do that. Equalizer goes down for good measure, really. Ultimately feels like an attempt at a kill steal, but Schönfire's found that first reset. Hunting for the second, gets denied. Just doesn't connect with the ultimate. And they'll try and run down another member,
Stuns
but
on.
into enemy territory now. You've maybe bitten off more than you can chew. Schönfire in trouble, goes golden. Can they find a kill and deliver during that animation? It's going to be denied. Chippy's forced to flash away. Doggy running for the hills. Chippy hanging on for dear life, but just barely survives.
2 Pentiment members just scrape away with a sliver of health there. Their names are peace. Team Bliss just turn and burn when they find their angle. That is a dangerous way to start the fight. It is Arkia that finds his angle. It is Violet that is the target. Does not hesitate. Immediately goes, locks him down. Violet does a lot of damage here, but was always going to fall. And then the follow through from Lemus, who uses that W, tries to ult at the same time, but just misses. Has to auto attack one more time. That's just enough time for the Viego to come through, get the reset, who also misses the W. Doesn't hit the ult either, because I think a bit of hesitation there from Schönfire is something that he will regret. They follow through here, and now they just go too far. Right, going for that stun onto the Cassante just invites the damage trade from Daystar, who gets his cooldowns back, invites Liv to be hyper-aggressive. And suddenly what was a decent trade then becomes 2 people who were so lucky to get away with their lives, because that could have been way worse.
Certainly could have been. You find a few more there, and you were really up a creek without a paddle. Dongy also feeling the wrath of the pressure. One of the creeks.
One of the many creeks of Australia without a paddle. I've been there, mate. It's tempting to say it every time. It's so tempting.
I'm trying to figure out a way to say it in a polite term. I'll tell you what, mate, it could be the Chemtech tiled one.
I've heard up creek without a paddle. Just to shorten it so much, they never ask what creek, you know?
Either way, though, that massive skirmish win for Team Bliss has brought it back to what was that 2K lead. It's substantially been muted, and begs the question now, how does this 1v1 favour either side of the match? Chippy's going to have a crack into Liv right now, who's still in his tanky form. Both just going to walk away no better off.
That's what I was going to say, Liv didn't ult. So I guess the real winner of that trade is always going to be Liv. Wants to save that ultimate, doesn't seem like he has the kill threat on the Renekton, especially not when that Dominus is available. And it's a Gore Drinker build, it's not a Blade of the Ruined King build or anything, right? So it really is just a show of force. Liv staunches him to the point that Chippies has to puff his chest and show, yeah, I'm still an Apex Predator. Top laners will then walk away, job done. AD carry still the point of focus for me. Gale Force done for Violet, which means the cleanse can be also used with a Gale Force and a Flash, and it's a lot harder to lock down now for this Leona. It could be a clutch item. The Lemus is the one who is ahead right now on the Neosurf total gold graph.
Very close top 4 though. All sitting at the 8,500 gold margin. Certainly what you want to be keeping your eyes on now as be the carry threat.
Jeez.
And here is that poke coming into effect. I mean, if Violet doesn't sidestep to that way, the missile connects as well. You're down to 50%. And you're really relying then on your rune page to lifesteal back up.
Yeah, you're relying on red weapon, rune page, or building a Vamp Scepter next for sure. Appy caught.
Appy has been caught. Can he limp out of this situation? He certainly cannot. Crashing down with the hammer is Jace. Daystar wastes no opportunity to get that kill.
I mean,
As
look
a
at
freebie.
Dongy. He's just hard split pushing right now. Pentanet seem like they're just throwing the kitchen sink into buying time. Recall cancelled by Liv. Very clear that they're looking to fight. Teleport finally comes through.
That is going to cancel the interrupt that Liv was looking to go for. Equalizer goes down. That's a good ultimate. They're all burning right now. First kill here found by Violet. Still surviving, still playing. Moonlight Vigil out from so far away. He's got damage, he's got power, he's got Daystar in his sight. Can he do much more? Because Schönfire is dead. One more Calibrim, and it gets it done. Massive amounts of shutdowns go in the way of PGG, but it looks so
Appy
dicey
finds
for a second.
lived, but I don't think he wants that fight, Skimmy. I do think it's just going to be a disengage. We could call that, you know, a fairly even fight when all's said and done. And remember, the Pentanet did that fight without their support. Appy was already dead.
Yeah.
Appy was gone, and still that's how close it got. Free damage left, right, and center. Once again, you look at how this starts off. You better believe it is Arkia that finds the angle. The Killer Instinct was used, though. Maokai ultimate was used, though. So those two key ultimates are gone when the fight actually breaks out. That is influential, though so is having a Nautilus. So, you know, neither here nor there. Schönfire is the star of the show here for me. Equalizer is sick. Chippies is the one who's engaging and tanking, so that's fine. The owner ultimate was used on him. They get their first reset now, though, right? Viego's able to find his mark. Gets the second target locked down, just barely survives by ulting backwards, and then gets the next target and just keeps going. This is time where Violet's freely hitting, right? You can't target the Viego. I feel like else can target you.
Back we go again, though, as we look to try and contest that third dragon, but PGG have other ideas in mind. Split pushing top lane they were before.
Happy already half health.
But the poke is rough.
You cannot deal with this poke composition by forcing them to the Baron buff. They're just going to poke you.
A Baron bait seems so dangerous.
You have to hard engage on site.
Next flash. Arkia's found what he needs. Appy first, once again. Solar Flare onto another two as well. Arkia is playing flawlessly right now. The Equalizer goes down, tries to zone them from engaging, but look at that shot blast, Frosty. The damage is insane. In goes Why Not, gets a double kill with a Bramble Smash. The floor is lava, and Bliss are just winning.
Violet did not get to play League of Legends. Jace just used 2 Gate Shock Blasts, and Violet was dead. They entertain the Baron buff. They walk into the river. They put themselves in a choke point, and Team Bliss just come and collect. I mean, it's not even too much to break down in this, right? Gate Shock Blast, number 1, it hits. Arpi very much caught. Maokai ultimate going to separate them. Leona ult stuns them all and locks them down. Gate Shock Blast number 2 comes through here. And Violet and Dongy are gone. And Why Not seriously just has the easiest job. It's so fun being a Maokai in this composition right now. The poke comes through, you just get to hit it home. 3 kills left, right, and center. It's a field day for Bliss.
Certainly is. And any chance of a PGG snowball from the early game is slowly but surely being wiped away. Bliss have come into this mid game and taking back the reins of control and said this game belongs to us. It never was yours to try and come back in this series. Objectives, dating like that is just not going to end well for you.
Hook connects.
Appy tries to start it off. He's going to land the hook and the depth charge, and all that attention goes on towards Why Not. He is going to die. Schönfire does find that reset. Schönfire limping away, just managed to survive an ult just to be certain.
Jace winning the game.
But he is taking an inhibitor on his own.
And Kaiser W's can stop these recalls and do so much damage and even give opportunities to collapse if they're not careful. But the Baron buff recall is going to get Daystar out really close to a minion cancelling him there, I'm not going to lie. Either way, is able to get out, which means it's Liv's turn to just break apart this map. And no longer is this just a poke comp, they're playing 1-3-1. Pentanet, I think, did the best thing they could, which is force the engage. But the cost for that engage was so high.
Devastating. You can see the evolution of Bliss on the fly, recognizing different game states, different item spikes, different power levels of where they're at. To say we can play in this function, we can play to this fashion. And PGG just seem to be struggling to try and respond, find the answers to make sure they can come back in this one.
And you can't Nautilus ultimate to Kai'Sa anymore because the stopwatch is going to be there. You cannot just all-in engage and use everything on Lemus right now. Not with the amount of crowd control that his composition has, because he can just immediately Killer Instinct and get himself out. Caught between a rock and a hard place right now is the side of Pensanet.gg as Bliss just find their footing in this game. Not a lot of angles present themselves. A team fight, a good team fight is what they're after. We'll see if Bliss allow that to happen. They've been known to love a good fight.
They certainly do. And with 30 seconds left of Baron, they're poised and ready to try and take another Adder turret down in the bot lane. But Chippies gets pounced upon, preyed upon, and removed from the equation. It's a 4v5 before they ever stood a chance. Now there is another freebie. 6 turrets to 2. And they keep marching forward.
Mid lane looking very peaceful for Lemus. Noise everywhere in bot lane. Chippy's trying to defend the inner turret when I don't think he had any right doing so. Lemus just hits the W from the side there. Seeks out his target, finds the damage. Still, both summoners going to be available, and Pensanet not able to force the engage. That's 2 hits onto Violet,
And
a
the
third
cooldown is
one,
so
and he
reduced.
goes.
You keep hitting them, it's down, what, like a 6-second cooldown? It's crazy.
It's too much now. They don't have a top laner, they don't have a tank. He's only going to be alive as we speak.
Your wave clear is gone as well. It's been whittled down from too much barrage of pressure. In goes Arkeo once again. Soliflay doesn't hit the mark. This is the best chance for PGG to try and answer back. Had Bliss done too much inside the base of PGG? Look at Violet's HP, but he survives. And Lemus on the fadeaway says you can't kill me. But their base is in shambles.
They will hold the base, though. They will hold the fort. No inhibitors have fallen, except for that top lane one that was already gone earlier. They get to stand defiant and show what they're capable of. Schernfire was really close to perhaps even getting another kill here. Big thing about this engage, perfectly layered from the side of Pensanet.gg. Nautilus ultimate, Aphelios ultimate straight away. The tragedy for this Viego pick is that he got knocked straight into a Kai'Sa W and gets actually one hit because he takes on the form of Jace, who is not tanky. A little bit unlucky for him there. But even one opportunity to use that ultimate again, you know, just put a bit more chaos in there, maybe another kill comes through, but they can't quite find Lemus. But still, you can see what they're capable of, Skippy.
Oh, absolutely. I was just watching back how close Liv was to assassinating out Violet in the back end there. Definitely double digits on the HP bars remaining. Ever so fragile, but it's now finally picked up the Vamp Scepter, and that could certainly be invaluable here.
They're just throwing things. They kind of have a gist of where Pensanet are, especially the way Violet is postured right now. He's teamed to the left of him, just based off that posturing. Would you believe it? They've worked that out.
Yep.
They did the math. They have all the information. There's a Maokai sapling in the bush. The area is now confirmed as theirs and safe. All they need to do is clear that control ward, and so they'll place one so they have full information. Back to your base, Pensanet.gg.
And I mean, there are some flanking wards in the river for PGG to try and wrap around towards. They have TPs up and available, but it's just not been that easy for them
They
to try
are
and find them.
teleporting.
They've got to get a flank on, they've got to get a kill before the flank, or before rather the poke comes into life. Defending this mid inhibitor.
Acura even hunting here as well. You're right, they're feeling the pressure, Skimmy. Daystar, though, is just relentless on this flank, and now he actually gets to breach the base a little bit more. Options limiting.
10 seconds left on that top lane inhibitor. As one comes back up, another might soon fall on down. Mid lane is confirmed now. And the hook goes out from Appy. Is that the target he wants? Well, he certainly doesn't need it. He flashes away instantly. Equalizer goes down, currently not touching anybody. Lemus preemptively goes golden, denies that depth charge.
The damage.
And the hook from max range connects. Another stopwatch, another denial. Moonlight Vigil misses the mark. In goes Chip. He's cold on Meek, not enough. Going golden again. Lemus in the backline, Killer Instinct, and he's got it. 4-1, double kill again here for Why Not in the Maokai, and it is the perfect ace. And it is Bliss saying, we are just too good on the day, PGG. You've had your fun, you've had your draws, you've taken games from the best in this league, but you won't take a game from us. Hold this L, because we're going to get the perfect 2-0 here today to close out day number 1.
The Pentanet curse is broken, but not for better, only for worse. They fall 0-2 to Team Bliss. And a banger game from Bliss. Dance has to come out, of course, from Why Not. And we can celebrate the team as a whole, really, right? You look at each individual member here of Bliss, it just felt like they were pretty solid on the day. Akia, once again, finds these angles, finds these engages, gets it done. Daystar's damage output in this one, I'm excited to see the graph, to be perfectly honest with you, because I think it is absolutely insane performance from him. But everyone on Bliss did their job again, and when are we going to see a Maokai ban, is my first question. When are we going to see a Maokai ban?
Less Ivan, more Maokai. That's what I'm getting from this.
Good call. What is it about Maokai that's so good?
He enables the
Jace.
Jace, and then cannot be stopped in the jungle, enables a poke composition from Bliss, and also Daystar's like the best Jace I've seen in this league. So,
Maokai's one of those champions that consistently can do everything you need it to, regardless of circumstance. Like, it will always have that CC, it will always have that ability to play around your mid jungle. And yeah, it raises a very valid question, right? Because yes, Bliss look amazing on these two. We haven't seen them off it, to be honest.
And I think we might get to see the replay here. But there's just one fight that they go, dude, it's not even a fight. Where Bliss walk up to PGG and they just poke them out. And Daystar's damage is insane. The poke comp from Bliss just works so well.
Yeah, so to me, looking at this game holistically, I think PGG actually did a lot better job in the early game, rather. I think Shenfire was able to get his leads over Why Not, both in levels and CS. There were times in mid lane 2v2 skirmishes where they were actually pulling ahead. That being said, it was the same issue, and this is the fight that really put the nail in the coffin here. This isn't a fight. You're just playing against the poke comp with this AP Kai'Sa and this Jace. You're not forcing any engages, you're just staring at the Baron saying, okay, well, what now? You're not threatening flanks, and that means the Bliss are free to walk up, throw as much poke at you as they want, and after that, sure, they had some hiccups, but once Daystar's ahead on this Jace, it almost feels inevitable that the way the game is going to turn out.
yeah, I think looking at this series, it just felt like Bliss were the team that set up better at all times. You know, like they had a clear idea, they had a clear picture of how they wanted to play, how their composition wanted to play, and also how they wanted to shut down Pentanet's composition, right? Because when it comes to it, very similar to game 1, you're looking at like just kill the Aphelios, and the game's a lot easier to play. Well, let's not even bother killing the Aphelios this time, let's just poke him. And like, he can't play, right? And it's so much easier to play. This time the Viego was fed, so that was obviously a clear factor, but he was the only target because the Aphelios couldn't play.
And then on top of that as well, you mentioned while we were watching the game that you saw mid and jungle from PTG actually feeling like they synergized that game. And if there was a good performance come from them, why didn't that like explode and make good stuff?
I think Bliss as a team are just holistically very good at team fighting. I think in a lot of their mid-game skirmishes, they were sure Shenfire was getting resets, but he had to work for them. They had to commit a lot to get it. It wasn't just one person gets randomly caught at the start of a fight, blown up, and then Viego gets to run it, right? There were always having to be multiple ultimates committed. And I think that, you know, yes, he was able to get off to an early start, but because Bliss is so measured in their play and so good at protecting their carries, it never really felt like a point where Viego was just able to go wild.
Well, with that, we might be able to ask the ADC for Bliss how well they did and what they think of the game. Lemus, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, bro? How you been?
Yeah, really good, really good. Well, we've got a lot to ask. Obviously, my question at the end is going to be by far my favorite. Max, I think you want to start it off.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations on the 2-0 breaking PGG streak. Now, we spoke to Bar in the pre-game interview, and he essentially said that compared to PCS and having Arky come into the league, it doesn't really feel like it changed very much. Speaking personally from having played with him, what has been some of the things that has changed from your time with him?
Oh man, no way, dude. Like playing with Arkia is like it's like night and day. I mean, credit where credit is due to Benvi. Like I'm not calling him bad or anything, but I think just playing with like an experienced Korean support, it's like a completely different game, to be honest. I think some of the biggest things are like his map movement and his and how he sets up vision like around the map is on point, as well as he's very quick to like pull the trigger if someone's inting, which in OS like supports in general are quite slow to like pull the trigger. So if someone like just steps over, like takes one step over like their vision line, then he'll just insta snap engage on them and one shot them. And I must admit, sometimes like he looks like he's inting, but I'm just gonna say that that's because he sees something that we don't, and like we can't really like follow up on his engage. But yeah.
Something we have been seeing is you personally having a fantastic split for yourself. How much in part do you think that is due to, you know, being enabled by those new additions to your team?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like, all I have to do is just like sit back and farm minions and press W on Kai'Sa, and like my team handles the rest. So I think I'm in a very privileged position myself. I think the game's very easy for me to play. I don't like have to really say much. I just follow up on what Arkia thinks is good, and he gets it done.
Living the life.
Do you and Arkia, surely, okay, we keep saying it, but you guys got the same brain cells. That's it. Is there something you do that lets you be that synergized? Is it like holding hands? Is it you do like the Titanic pose every time you're walking around somewhere? What is it? What's the secret, man?
Okay, well, this is gonna be like a bit of a self-report, but like me and Arkia, we play like TFT every day instead of playing solo queue. So yeah, I think.
Yep. Hey, good call.
And by the way, I always win. I always win.
Wait, what comp do you play? What comp do you play?
I like going. Well, I used to go Yodel's Gunners, but I got nerfed,
Nice.
and then I was abusing Draven for a bit, like the Draven legend.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm kind of a Teemo connoisseur.
Oh, Teemo reroll. I'm Echo reroll. That's why I've been playing Echo Freljord.
Oh, disgusting. But
Okay, now, the thing I need to hear from you. This is very important you answer this properly. Let's say you and the boys, you and Bliss, Brendan included, you'll hop on your backpacks and you walk all the way down to Runeterra. You got your hammers, you got someone's a Sparky, someone's a Bricky. You got all the building materials you need. Where are you setting up your house? What region?
Ionia for sure, 100%. Dude, Ionia is like the most beautiful region out of any region in League. So yeah, for sure, Ionia.
Ionia's a good call. All right, thanks, mate. Congratulations on the 2-0.
Cheers, guys. See ya.
Ionia is a good call.
Yeah.
Ionia is probably Bliss for that.
Ionia,
Thank you for winning that,
Piltover,
mate.
maybe.
Piltover
Demacia?
attached to Zorn, not great.
True.
But Ionia, you get invaded by everyone.
Strong elitist vibes.
You have Aurelia to protect you.
Thank God.
And Cannon.
Yeah, I'm taking Ionia.
What about Targon? Is that? I don't really know that much about Targon, but it feels
That's a
kind of chill.
Is it a mountain?
That's
It's
where
a
like,
mountain. I like.
Leona and Diana and stuff, right? I have no idea what's a Targon, bro.
Have you guys seen those tents that people put on the sides of mountains as they're climbing up and they sleeve them and they're dangling off over the edge?
That's
Terrifying.
Targon.
That's Targon.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Also, I love it. You're in an interview and Skibby over here just hears the word TFT. He's
TFT,
like,
like,
what's
I was
this?
saying we should have swapped because I don't play any TFT.
Lemus
Oh, you
answered
play Yule
that.
Gunners, Tristana reroll? Best, bro. That got me diamond back in the day. Yeah, carry on.
Us four got to queue up sometime. I think that's a good shit.
100%.
I don't play,
And you too.
man. I don't
Oh,
play.
I meant
We'll
like
learn.
us and
We'll learn.
Arkia.
But me and
We'll
Rusty
learn,
and
we'll
double
learn.
up, undefeated. That's
That's
all I'm
true,
saying.
actually.
That's
and
all
it's
I'm
not,
saying.
Not
We're
one
best.
game. Like,
Wow.
at least 5.
At least 5+.
Yeah.
Kinda-
We've never
kinda
lost.
good.
Also, I just want to say, it feels like maybe maturity is the wrong word, but Lemus recognizing and calling out to Arkia as well, it might look like he's inting sometimes, but it's the fact that the team can't keep up with the play is such a mature, maybe there's a better word for it, but it's such a responsible thing to say, to acknowledge your own shortcomings because your teammate is so good.
I think it's also funny to consider that, like, why is it that supports in OS don't do the things that Arkia does? Is it because my AD carries don't recognize what I'm doing and I just get flamed for running it when I am objectively correct? I'm going to stop doing it. And then suddenly, its cycle continues, and now your supports are all Yuumi mains, right? And now OS sucks. Just think about that. Maybe it's not the supports. Maybe it's the AD carries. Maybe I'm a support main saying this. But I
I'm
believe
the AD
it.
carry man.
I'm mad.
I am mad. But then you come in with someone like Arkia, and who has this, like, what's the word? Give me a word. Credibility.
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 Swag.
Credibility,
Let's just
swagger.
level 2 dive mid.
And then everyone respects him. Yeah, like level 2 dive mid. Okay, we'll go for it. Why not?
Let's see what happens. Oh, first blood. What a shame.
I don't really know the right way to put this, but I want you to put into perspective for me how much Arkia is revolutionizing, or at least stepping up to support compared to the rest of OS. Because, I mean, Aladoric, we don't know who the best support is, but I know Aladoric, he's
Yosan.
awesome. Yosan, Alistair, awesome. What is it that Arkia does different, and why is he like, yeah, Arkia, woo!
I mean, I think it is directly what Lemus said is the most noticeable thing. So Yosan just makes plays, goes for hex flashes, goes for flanks, and stands out for what feels like that is his primary reason. It feels like for Arkia, he understands where the line of scrimmage is, right? So he sets the stakes really well for his team, places wards apparently very well, as Lemus said, but understands that, like, if they cross this line, it is on site. and does not hesitate, right? Where if the team understands that and believes in his decision, then that is immediately an upgrade for any team, because that is 5 people understanding that the good wards involve a good position to fight.
Far out. Man, I brought it up before, but the level that these guys play at is just unbelievable. How much pro play changes from what just happens in solo queue. It blows my mind every single time.
All I'm saying is I'm super excited for when Elador and Arkia go up against each other, right? Because at least we
dude.
get one kind of understanding of like how strong they are in comparison. So yeah, we just get more questions and more answers, and everyone's smiling.
You got me giddy, man. That is next week though, so I won't be here, but I'll be watching it from home. But I know we don't have the scoreboards and the ladder coming up just yet, but dude, this is really bad for Pentanet. Them losing
It's rough.
is sending them back really. I don't know if you guys have the upcoming matches they have. Maybe we can see that in a moment, but
I can look it up.
it's I don't know, man. Pentanet losing this puts them at 0-4-1.
Yeah, that's really not great.
It's really not great.
Vertex and Kanga last.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, you'd expect, you'd hope, at least you're getting 2 wins there.
But here's the thing, right, is if we're looking about, okay, maybe playoffs, they'll get in, right? But if we're looking at top 4, you've got Chiefs, Bliss, both sitting very pretty, no one's touching them. Then Direwolves and then Mammoth, who just got a 2-0 today,
Yeah.
right? So there's quite a distance now between those two. I don't know, someone can run the numbers, but statistically, it's very hard for them to actually make that distance up.
I forgot how important the top 4 was. That's right. Double elimination. Well, there's time to take a look at our Dare MVP for today. Hold on. Let's
Oh,
who do you think it could be?
oh, wait, it's not hard, actually.
It has to be Arkia.
Has to be Arkia. Has to
Surely.
be Arkia.
Daystar. Show me Daystar.
Go on, Max.
Support
Show
like
me
that.
Daystar!
Go on, Max.
No one appreciates supports.
Yeah, no one
That's
appreciates
what I'm
support.
understanding.
You want to know why I'm ranting here early? It's because no one appreciates
No one
support.
appreciates. Even I was on the Rusty bandwagon. I was like, Arkia kind of 1v9.
I say Akia's
Daystar-
game until people believe in him. That's
Then-
my new strat.
Then again, he's awesome. Dude, he, like,
Yeah.
on the Jace is unstoppable.
If you really talks, yeah, what did you do, mate? You just accelerated shock blast. Yeah, nice. Like,
You remember,
you're
remember that
so
level?
toxic.
You remember that level 2 kill, mate, where I went over the wall because you didn't flash Ian back earlier? Oh, I remember that one.
Look, mate, I picked up your dinner and I fed it to you. I got you fed. Okay.
He's got the spoon out.
I've got the spoon here. Here comes the aeroplane. Whee! Oh, you fed. Wow, Jace pops off. I've been
Daystar
corrupted.
played well.
This is
Daystar
support
played well.
couch. I'm getting biased now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, he
Good
did
I
man.
think we all are. Max,
Daystar
you're the
played
odd
really
one
well.
out.
Biased to support.
No, so you're not biased to support.
Oh, well, no, because I used to be, and then I lost 17 predictions in a row, and then now I just pick mid laners or AD carries.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing
True.
we got to predict today is player of the day. You got to decide this, right?
I did decide, so I won't say anything.
And I definitely already know what it is. So
There
I'm
was so
leaving it to
many
you guys.
fights in that last series, man.
Yeah.
Cast a brain.
So I imagine it's any of the pop-off moments that Chan had, like perhaps like when he snipes in the mid lane, like he just jumps into like 5 people with killer instinct and gets a kill. I think that was kind of hype. Otherwise, yeah, maybe just like the poke battle.
All right,
Just lose
show
it to Jace.
Show it to
Yeah,
us. Show it
just
to
show
us.
us.
Let us see. There's so many good fights today.
Oh, this is the collapse, right?
Oh,
Yeah, this looks so satisfying. So you can see, like, Why Not's ultimate here lands on multiple members, but it's lived coming at the back, getting a massive stun. The casting is actually really bad here, by the way. Knocks everyone away from what would have been a huge Jack stun. But on the back end of it, lived is running down Violet. And not to mention, they could have ended off the back of this, by the way. There were 40-second death timers. We were saying that backstage. But this, to me, is just an example of Bliss team fighting at their best. And there's such a nice team to watch from a competitive level.
Appy low-key playing for the enemy there, batting for the enemy with that flash over the wall, though, bringing the Maokai into 4 of them. So really nicely set up by Bliss. Full credit to them. They just stifled them on execution.
Look, maybe I was hyping up Vinky, Shinky on his villain arc. Maybe it's Vivd. Lived is on his villain arc, man. We saw the Fiora, we saw the Jax. I am so excited to maybe see Camille.
And we saw the tweets.
Camille top. And the tweets.
Right. My man is cooking.
He's got off the rails. But PGG, Mammoth, how are the standings looking? This is actually something that I want to see getting cooked up because it might not be as good for PGG as we think it is.
I can't imagine.
Which we will see in a second.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's great for them given today's result. If they were tied with Vertex prior to the series taking place, and now they have suffered. Look, as the standings are, Bliss now secured in playoffs, right? That's obviously the biggest talking point. But in the playoffs for top 4, Pensinet have a total of 6 points remaining that they can get. So it is real difficult to stay toe-to-toe with Mammoth and Direwolves if they get another win.
And the next match will be up against Vertex, which they're tied with at the moment, right? So that'll be a really exciting matchup to see, okay, Vertex, like how much have we leveled up and Pentnet, do their problems continue to plague them? Because I think Direwolves to close out theirs is what, Mammoth and then Ground Zero, so you're kind of thinking it's very hard to get top 4 anymore.
Yep, and running the numbers just quickly here, Mammoth are guaranteed at least a head-to-head for playoffs, I believe. Given Ground Zero and Kanga, best they can get now is 6 points. That puts them in a tie for 8. So Mammoth not directly qualified, but, you know, somewhat still locked in.
We might be able to break it down better once we see what's coming up tomorrow. We've got Ground Zero up against the Chiefs and Kanga up against Team Bliss. Don't forget, Kanga has 2 more games left now. So this is going to knock them down to 1 game. These are the 2 teams that are now hovering at the bottom of the ladder, and it's against the top 2 teams
First
in the league.
versus 7th on both fronts, really, isn't it, right? So it really is David and Goliath. It's going to
Damn.
be such an uphill battle for our teams on the left-hand side here. But look, I mean, Bliss look phenomenal. I think if Chiefs continue as they have, and especially if they were to like flex junglers in between the series, makes life very difficult.
Don't forget that there was that one series last split or something that Ground
Ground Zero.
Zero almost beat the Chiefs.
That's
True.
right.
So
That's right.
I'm just putting it out there. It could happen.
Oh,
It won't, but it could.
It's Dante Diff.
Yeah.
And he's no
He's
longer
not
on
even,
Ground
he's not even on the team anymore.
Oh, right.
Well, there's your answer.
Well,
There it goes.
okay. I love you, Aiko. Big fan.
Last thing to check in with today is our bingo. Maybe someone's gotten lucky enough
yeah.
to smack down all 4 red dots. Okay, well, never mind.
No.
Never mind.
It's impossible so far, right?
Scripted, rigged from the start.
Ari, permaban,
You get
LeBlanc
4.
gone.
No Corky.
Yeah. No Corky, yeah. Fighter said, you know what, I'll play jungle. Blitzcrank, I would have loved to have seen that.
Surprising no Milio,
That is
but
true.
we are in
Yeah.
the tank engage meta, I guess. Mind you, Milio can deal with them
You
really
think
well.
it would be
Yeah, for
good in
sure.
that meta,
Yeah, you would.
conceptually.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, we got to see how other people went, and obviously no one
Oh.
got a 5.
Who's this fella?
But Kanga, maybe he could have done some convincing, and Jake actually
didn't
could have
play
gotten
today?
Fighter.
Hey, voice, play Lucian so I can win my prediction.
He's just not saying why. Why do you think Lucian's good here?
I think
oh,
Lucian
mate,
W
I've
here.
just got a feeling.
This is a great draft.
I've got a feeling.
You
And
know
not
what Manami
surprising,
made, mate.
Shinky, mate, back on Sion.
The LCO player was the one that got 3, so analyst level, bang, locked in.
Right, get Jakey back on the
Come
show.
on, mate.
Yep. See ya. I'll be gone.
Oh, run
Is
it
Is that
back.
not the same? No.
Ari Cloud as well, lock in 3 in. Mate,
It's
your
the
job
same.
is in contention.
So anyway, we're getting replaced by these bingo players. So right now, right? They're the same.
What a life.
It's impossible to get 3. It was possible to get 4, right?
Uh-oh. You guys think when we're older, like
Yeah,
bingo is going to be so lit?
Oh,
Oh my
100%,
God.
Bro.
LCO champion bingo in 2080.
Catch me. 2080 LCO.
There'll be 1,000 champs. You have to pick like 64 of them. That's just a massive like A3 piece of
74
paper.
3-hit passives.
Yeah.
Congrats to Jebble Cake as well for a 3-0. Again, no Milio. That's really unlucky to miss out on 4.
Yeah. Robbed.
I'm just imagining all of us sitting in a bingo pile and the little ball that they like roll around. Lock in. Oh, it's Milio.
You know you can play D&D with that.
What do you
just
mean?
have numbers 1 through 20. You do the...
Oh, yeah, it's like a dice.
Yeah.
True, actually.
It's like a badass dice you just bring instead.
Oh, I've low rolled. Yep. 1 intellect. GG. Go next. That's
Okay.
happened.
Yeah, you play D&D.
Yeah, mate.
Well, does anyone have any...
I'm just
Yes,
trying to
mate.
reference this left, right, and center, bro.
Yes,
3-point dunks. 1 on the intellect. Yeah, I'm up with pop
He's a
culture.
man of many disciplines.
He is,
this
yeah.
Skim Dog.
You gotta help me out here, Skimmy. I'm a Doctor Who fan.
Okay.
Break me up. What's a Doctor Who reference?
Well, you just get in a telephone box. You go.
That's
you
all
what,
I had
bruv?
as well. That's
You
all
what,
I
bruv? Ring a ding ding. Where's the queen? Oh, she's passed away. Bollocks, mate.
Get in the time machine.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what
Doctor
happens.
Who, the one with the weird face lady that's like pinned up on a board.
Yeah, that's the one,
Yeah,
Cassandra.
it's
Yeah.
creepy,
And it's
man.
like that like grey R2D2.
The Daleks.
That stuff like that.
Exterminate.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
That's the one.
Shout out to my
Yeah,
Doctor Who
we're good
fans
at
in
what we
chat.
do.
Hey, mate, we
Yeah.
know what we're talking about.
All right, any final conjecture to share with the class today?
Conjecture.
Conjecture. Is that the word I chose? Oh, notions. I messed it up.
My final conjecture is that we shouldn't be using the word conjecture on broadcast.
I think it's a
No,
pretty good
but
word.
seriously, going back to my previous takes, my one takeaway from today that I will stand by is that Mammoth bot lane is the best bot lane in the league. I think Bliss bot lane is very
Wow.
close, second behind.
Whoa.
And I'm going to make a bold statement and say that I think Bliss is currently the best team in the league. That's what I'm going to say. And leave it there.
He's said enough for all of us, I think.
I think Chiefs are watching right now. They've got like the mad mask, like.
Alador tweeting
that
as we
right.
speak.
Alador,
Maximize O's.
he's got them in the drafts right now, and he will be told not to post it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Social media manager will be holding him back.
That is very true. Look, I'm excited for the games tomorrow. That's all I can say.
Max said enough for all of us, mate. I don't need to say more than that. There's
Thank
enough
you, Max.
opinions
Yeah.
there for everyone.
Hey, you broke it down, man. Well, I think that leads us to the end of our show today. It was a fantastic showing, and again, we still got 2 more days to go. Don't forget Super Mega Week, so we have Wednesday as well.
Super Mega Week.
Super Mega Week. So, one thing I'll leave you with today is if the light is red, don't cross the street. If it's green, cross the street. Look both ways before you do it, and stay safe. See you tomorrow, guys. Sleep well, everybody.
Fido, how impactful could he be right now? Yorson's jumped in, missed his moment. The Baron has been picked up there by Storley. The fight continues. Yorson's been run down. Voice finds his first kill in this fight. Darshong has done some damage. Kango, as you say, needing every single point available to them. Can't afford to let them have that one right now. In we go once again. Rakan start things up. Jake in trouble. Ultimate will not find success. Chen on the board once again, getting closer and closer to those double digits. The Voice is going to come out of stasis. Flash away and hit a Void Missile and say, my job is done. I cannot do much more than this. He is going to hit the Ragnarok. In jumps the collapse. Instantly destroyed, boys. He gets popped. Once again, just cannot play the game. 3-man Magnus Storm Yosan. What on earth was that? He is literally showcasing that this bot lane from Mammoth may just be the best in the league right now.
Just in conversations where it's support me. Oh, there he goes.
Well, there you go. He said, I heard you talking shit
I'm
there,
the
Rusty.
MVP.
Shen jumps in
Watch
straight
this.
away and deletes Voice. It's like it's the LPL. He's just right now. Violet is very low on the ammunition for that blue ult. Whoever available just to start the fight off with, and that will be it. Lived on the flank right now. It's poised and perfect.
Wow.
Where do they go? They're boxed in. They're stuck, and it might just be damn well to lead. And Violet trying his hardest into the counter-strike. And just gets outplayed by Mechanic. Still on the Baron. It's not looking like it's going to be stolen anytime soon. Picked up here by Bliss. That is Baron number 2 on the cards. Lives, surrounded by 4. He's just going to look to try and walk away. Hops into the Baron pit. And in goes Jernfire. He wants it. He'll get it.
Recall cancelled by Liv. Very clear that they're looking to fight. Teleport finally comes through.
He's going to cancel the interrupt that Liv is looking to go for. Iglos goes down. That's a good ultimate. They're all burning right now. First kill here found by Violet. Still surviving, still playing. Moonlight Vigil out from so far away. He's got damage, he's got power, he's got Daystar in his sight. Can he do much more? The Shernfire is dead. One more Calibrum. And again,